Recording has started.
All right, welcome recording. Right. This time on Winter Falls, the two parties have rejoined once again. Ominous clouds now hang over the great megalopolis of Dionysus, lightning streaking across the sky and waves crashing against what remains of the seawall and manors of the city. An old yet new face having joined them. There are many questions yet to be answered, including that of the missing key to Big Hat Logan's vault. The question of the exiled clan, which hangs heavily on the heir of Io's crown, and of course, the question of the sea monster Dandin. Where it comes from, and why it seeks the destruction of one of the great cities. The time is nigh for a confrontation with a long-term adversary. One who lengthened an already long journey on the road to the eastern provinces, and who slew many ships to escape the hand of Vecna in the west. Masts are lowered and windows shored up as the eve of battle approaches. It will be decided this time on Winter Falls.
Wing.
Even our Evan agrees.
So I believe last we left off, all the characters met back up again.
Yup.
Yep. We're on the deck of the boat.
You have just seen each other on the deck of the Io's crown. A light sheet of rain cascading down the sails and the mast, dripping heavier in some places than others. A assemblage of Dragonborn and Kobold, occasional Minotaur, rumble about, kind of forming a loose semicircle, decidedly less concerned with these new visitors than they were with Dante and Telchar initially.
I still think we should fire a ballista at them just so they get the proper greeting.
Telchar whispers that to a Dragonborn.
So
He does.
when Draji, Katrogrim, and Sam walk up and Dante looks over and sees them, his eyes go to Katrogrim and Draji first and then to the newcomer. Does Dante recognize Sam?
Pens has Sam. Sam is still heavily hooded unless he took it off or has made means of revealing himself.
Oh, and let's not forget that Katrarum did herald everyone to the boat.
I would say, if not, you sense something very vaguely familiar about this figure. And there's also something vaguely alarming. Like, you are in the sights of a predator, and it kind of puts the back of your spine to tingling on edge.
Mm-hmm. So really the major question here is if Dante recognizes Sam or not. Nick,
No,
do you know?
vaguely familiar.
Okay.
So yeah, this heavily cowled figure who moves with a stalking gait and who seems at once to be what's the words I'm looking for? Straight as a stick, yet drooping at the shoulders. It's this weird juxtaposition of someone who's exhausted and someone who's extremely tense. He comes up to the deck of the boat and just meets eyes with you, and there's something vaguely familiar about those piercing, predatory eyes, and he just stares at you for a minute. And then His arms go wide, and he just starts stalking towards you, slowly at first and then more rapidly across the deck of the boat. And he reaches to embrace you.
Yeah, Dante is going. Dante.
The most dangerous attack a Dante can face.
Yeah,
It can't be Sam because Sam knows Dante doesn't like warm hugs.
yeah. Dante would cast.
Oh, no.
Disintegrate.
He's gonna cast Mirror Image, actually,
I
and
thought he was gonna cast teleport.
he's going to back away. roll, roll a, roll a, roll a d6 to see if you hug Dante. And Dante will call out over to Draji. What is this?
I'm actually going to roll the d6.
So, I just see Sam.
No, actually,
Like,
I think it's roll a d20,
making-
and if it's lower than a 6.
I see Sam making the distance of like
Or
10
higher than a
feet of
6.
them, and him looking over Sam's shoulder, and be like, "What is this? Or what's happening?" And she's just like, "It looks like a reunion to me."
Oh no.
Well, he starts to reach for the wrong Dante, and then realizes that there's multiple Dantes, and then he just like stops in the middle, and then like he halts for a second, and then like you see in his eyes his brain just cranking for a minute, and then he pulls off the cowl, and you see a very gray, very gaunt
Oh.
Symatris Gillianfold.
So I had to re-roll, because I have to roll a d20. But I think that you actually don't hit a mirror image.
Well, once he realizes what's happening anyway, he'll probably cut the embrace short in order to show you that he's not a threat, because he's not wanting to terrify you. It's just the reaction he had. So he stops short of almost getting the right Dante anyway. But he pulls back his cowl and he says, "Dante, it's me, Sam. I made it."
So the very first thing that happens is Dante's face contorts into a seizure. And like his face wigs out so much that you think that the skin is going to, you can see a really large amount of gums and like eye flesh. You know what I'm talking about?
And then Telchar walks up and steps in front and says, sorry, pins are coming out.
And then
starts tapping lightly.
And then he covers his face and he stoops to the ground for a second. And then when he gets back up, he uncovers his face and you can see quite a bit of anger in his eyes.
Yeah, Sam was just standing over you with his arms out, just hoping for a hug. And when you stand back up with anger on your face, he's like, "Oh, yeah, okay."
What are you? And you can see Dante is ready to cast something. You don't know what.
Sam's arms fall limply at his sides, and he says, "Look, I'm different on the outside, but I promise it's still me in here."
When did you meet with this thing? Dante will look over at Draji.
When you say thing, his head just hangs, and he takes a step back.
Aw, poor puppy Symatris.
She, hearing the malice in his voice, she'll take like 2 stomps and says, "Look, you asked what he is. He's your friend. You know who he is. Quit fighting it."
You know the kind of enemy that we're up against. You know that they'll use anything in their power to find an advantage over us.
And it sounds like you're using your paranoia as an excuse to get away from this.
Dante's gonna kind of walk. Dante's just gonna kind of take a minute and walk around Sam. He's gonna like look him up and down from every angle.
Yeah.
Sam
Roll me
steps
a
in.
perception check, or
Yeah.
insight rather.
Do
Ro-
it.
I'm rolling insight.
Your choice, insight or perception, depending on the kind of stuff you're looking for.
He would be looking for signs of what's the word, illusion, things like that. He would actually probably cast detect magic during this process.
Okay, if you're looking for illusions, specifically roll investigation.
Okay. I mean, he'd be looking for all sorts of information, but he wants to know how this could have been done, right?
Sure.
Where is? Oh, I'm not rolling. Oh, okay. So first of all, I have to cast this. Nope, not expeditious retreat. Detect magic.
Dante leaves.
He just runs off the boat.
Whee!
Plummets to
And
the
then
water.
right to the water to be tempted by Dam.
No, really, Moomin, I must go. Yeet.
Okay, detect magic. Certainly. Let me think for a second. You detect, first off, bits of transmutation magic on a few different objects in Sam's possession. One seems to be coming from a ring on his hand, which you recall was an item recovered from his father's decrepit, turned over wagon in the stone mine.
Yeah, because that's something that we found together.
That is something you found together.
Ah.
Upon his back, in no subtle fashion, the long metallic shaft of the giant crusher, which is utterly bereft of magic, despite its immense size and properties, solely a product of dwarven science. But past that, under the surface, you detect in very small quantities, as though sewn just under the skin, but not permeating the being, amounts of necromancy.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Um. Out of curiosity, Dante's gonna just glance over at Draji while he's doing this. Does he get the same thing from Draji, the permeation under the skin?
It's a little tougher to see because she has so much magic stuff on her.
Mm-hmm.
But you don't think you detect any necromancy.
Okay.
Aside from that, in the investigation check, your piercing eyes look over, and with illusion magic, the devil's in the detail. You stop looking at what is obvious and what is presented, and more at what is missing. You glance at the shadow that should be there, and are at once very disoriented because there is no.
So he doesn't cast a shadow.
He doesn't cast a shadow, which either means he is an illusory creature, or he has become something that no longer interacts with light the same way that you do. You note wear and tear at the edges of his garment, sort of a cloaked cape that was once perhaps a beautiful kind of deep forest green, is now kind of a brownish, light, deeply sun-scorched, sandy color. It has like holes in it. You see the boots, which you think are the same boots, but have uh, horrible wear and tear upon them. You see, like one toe is partially exposed from the side. Been through some stuff. All these tiny little things adding up lead to an air of abrupt and alien authentication.
So,
There's no illusory magic at play.
okay. But there's a lot of necromancy. Obviously, something's not right.
Draji would reach over and snatch Symmetris's hand and show Dante the contingency seal.
When you grab his hand,
Hold on one second.
it feels not ice cold,
You need to move him.
but there's no like inherent human warmth. It's a little disorienting.
Dante will say, it has the likeness of Symmetris, perhaps using its husk, but I can't be positive that it is Symmetris. Why didn't you answer my sending?
And this is directed at Symmetris.
Yep.
I never got it.
I find that hard to believe. If you are really Symmetris Gillianfold. Dante kind of takes a step and looks to the side.
For a long time, I was underground in the halls of the vampires who had captured me. Perhaps it was during that time that you sent your message. I don't know, that they may have some kind of hocus pocus protection down there or something. That's the best I can think of.
Dante's going to motion over to Telchar and Draji, and look over at them and say, hold him still for me.
What are you gonna do?
It seems at this point, Katrogram's just kind of like wandering around the boat.
Yeah, Katrogram's like,
Yeah.
he's like super into like meeting with his relatives. He's like, I don't care what they're doing.
Yeah.
Oh no, he doesn't like these people.
Katrogram, you made several paces forward, kind of glancing about. Though most of you are rather preoccupied with the reunion of Symmetris and Dante. Katrogram, as you walk about, you feel a feeling that you haven't felt since you left your homeland, and that is the alienation and disdain that most give planless Dragonborn. As you kind of take a few paces forward, seeking to learn more about the vessel and those who command it, and almost like matching your pace, a couple of the Dragonborn guards kind of take a step back as though you had some contagious disease. At this point, the Minotaur shipmaster appears from below deck, marching up with a couple of guards. Yes, Silverkin, is there an issue?
Dante will look over. This is an internal matter.
Kind of glances about, looking at the crowd that has kind of formed about you, inspecting this drama in the rain. Perhaps this matter best be taken below decks. You are disrupting the workflow.
Dante will be he's going to look irritated by that, and he's going to step to the side, and he's going to kind of motion over to Sam, and he's going to point to the door that leads below decks, and he'll say, "Get a move on."
Sam will begin moving in that direction, and his head's still hanging, and he just kind of starts walking, but then he stops and turns, and he unhooks the giant crusher, and
Dante starts getting really defensive.
And he, yeah, no, he just kind of swings it around and holds it up, in both hands, just outstretched, and he says, "If it makes you feel better, you can disarm me."
Dante will cock his head to the side and he'll nod.
Do you accept the giant crushers that he holds out to you?
No, Dante wouldn't touch it. He would probably, because Dante's kind of weak, so he would probably prefer like one of the others get it. He'd kind of like watch you very carefully and kind of look over in his periphery towards Telchar maybe. Telchar would actually be best to inspect it, so he'd kind of look over at him.
Oh, this is interesting.
Yeah, Telkar's been kind of at the background. He just looks up surprised when Dante looks at him. He's like, "Oh, you want me to take it? Alright."
You see Symatris kind of hesitates before he hands it to Telchar. And he doesn't look like he's particularly happy about handing it over to Telchar, but he does. After a minute to think about it.
He stumps up to it. And Austin, would he have any recognition of this item?
Good question. I want you to roll me a history check. Okay. So, though it is rainy and this great hammer is partially clothed in cloth, you make out on the head of the hammer a peculiar smith's mark. That is, let me double check here.
Do you need the name?
It is associated with Clan Helvensern. This is, to your knowledge, a clan that left Calder during the War of Secession, which was the war between the humans who take what is now Mara, both from the monsters and to defend it from Severians that wanted it for themselves. During this time period, many different races and individuals began to show up in mass, seeking new opportunity, fame, glory. Helvensern, as such, is a clan that is now recognized formally as imperial citizenry. Though your history doesn't extend too far back, you recall that they were most famous for their very traditional, very kind of middle of the road smithing practices. Nothing particularly ingenious. They were most known for crafting building.
Okay.
This is very unorthodox. This great hammer, and just with your passive knowledge of how armaments work, the size. This is too big to be wielded by anything but maybe some great creature such as a giant. The head of the hammer itself is almost as thick as your torso, like armor and everything. It's utterly huge, and you're uncertain as to how this cloaked figure that Draji is referring to as Symmatris is able to hold this so effortlessly in outstretched arms towards you. When in your guesstimation, it should weigh at least 150, 200 pounds.
Yeah. So he's expecting it to be almost certainly a magic item or something crafted with a great deal of ingenuity to allow this creature to hold it. But he's also, given Dante's suspicion, he's withholding the possibility that Symmatris is a supernatural creature with supernatural strength. And so he's going to take this hammer with a great deal of care and kind of preparing for a lot of weight.
You start to take the hammer into your hands, and it weighs 300 nondescript weight units.
Yeah, you all collectively kind of hear the deck groan under Telchar's new weight as the weight is beginning to be passed to him. I need to roll an athletics check real quick.
Yeah, he braces himself, and only a 7.
Oh yeah, you almost like take it on the center, like trying to center it on your mass, and you see Telchar kind of stagger backwards, before realizing how dangerous it is to have this thing on top of you, and you lean forward as it slams into the deck. It hits, and just like it did on the wall, it just sticks there. And moreover, you think you see the head sink probably an inch into the deck.
Oh, careful there. Like
Don't say.
in the process of handing it to you, like it kind of dawns on him that this is a bad idea, but like he's already in the motions, so he doesn't stop. He doesn't stop himself.
Dante will motion to get moving.
Yeah, like Sam does the equivalent of stammering, but with his hands. He's just like, should I pick it up? Should I not? Should I pick it up? Should I not? And then he just kind of turns around curtly and says, sorry, and starts walking.
Sorry.
Telchar will kind of... I mean, he doesn't need to be at the conversation with Dante, so he'll just kind of take his time levering this hammer into a position where he can carry it, mostly.
So once he does, Dante will go ahead and lead them to his room so that we have some air of privacy.
And he'll kind of look at the shipmaster as he passes and say, apologies about the deck. Suppose I ought to have known.
Yeah, the Minotaur just kind of has one bovine eyebrow raised. We will discuss this later.
Does the Minotaur dude give any look to Draji, or is he specifically not looking at him?
He appears to be more bold, or perhaps less superstitious than the Dragonborn under him. He glances you over and assumes your presence will be explained in due time. As he kind of just reaches out a hand and, in a gesturing way, showing you down to the lower decks through a massive grate in the surface of the deck. Katralgrim, you saw this ship earlier, probably a week or two or more prior.
Yep.
when last you were in Dionysus. It is a different experience to be on the deck of an Ark ship. Little bit of history, Control Room. You would know just passively. You know that at one time, the Dragonborn and the Winged Lords had designs on world conquest. This was probably 1,500 years ago or more.
Mm-hmm.
This conquest was contested by a human who was called Arxes the Great from Severia. So much of the Great War, as it was known, was a massive conflict between Arxes and the Dragonborn, when Arxes ultimately managed to win through great sacrifice, and he moved on to conquer most of the known world before dying at an old age. The Ark ships are leftover from those times when an entire people was tasked to go to war under the rule of the Winged Lords. There are, to your knowledge, 2, maybe 3 Ark ships left in existence, and they are marvels of ancient Dragonborn engineering from a time when your civilization shone like a celestial fire the world over. And now they are known more so as pirates and vagabonds. Their empire bereft of a spiritual leader. This Ark ship, known as Io's Crown, I would like you to roll me a history check for, if you'd like to.
Highest history, that one skill that I'm excellent at.
That's right.
18.
18, absolutely. You know that Io's Crown traditionally did belong to House Stormvard. House Stormvard is one of the few clans to have kept their Ark ship, not only to themselves, but in working order. House Stormvard is the clan that dominates the eastern coast of one of the larger islands known as Shvasti. It is a clan that heavily associates itself with the coast and seafaring ways. They're almost like I would almost call them the enforcers of like the eastern seas of the Crozan Isles. If there is an invading force, if there are pirates, if there are sea monsters, House Stormvard is the most likely to deal with that. They are known to be law-abiding and loyal. Is one of their qualities that you find most peculiar, considering the fact that it appears this Ark ship is serving its function, Control Room. There are a great many people on this ship. Too many, you think, to leave the Stormvard holding of Strathholm in any repair, or even a skeleton crew to man the gates. That aside, the rest of you who are seeing the ship for the first time are suitably impressed. Draji, as any Leonic citizen, you may be a little bit less so since you have holdings on the shores of Lake Kaladnaji, are pretty unfamiliar with ships. Your people have a isolationist policy for the most part, and are not particularly known for their navy. However, this, you've never seen anything remotely this big in terms of things a person can make. To give you scale, once again, this ship is probably 150 yards in length. It has, at least from the exterior, you've yet to go below decks, but you will soon find out, something like 7 or 8 decks running the length of the ship. It is mind-bogglingly huge. In any case, do the rest of you follow Dante and Symmetrus's lead below deck? And Telchar, what are you attempting to do about the giant creature? Do you leave it put, or do you attempt to drag it along?
I think he's theoretically capable of lifting 300 pounds. He just has to do it intelligently. Like, it's within his carrying capacity.
Okay.
So I think he's going to try and, like, lever it so he's carrying it on his shoulder or something. I don't know. Whatever he figures is the most intelligent way to move this hammer without damaging the ship. Actually, I think he's going to leave it and inspect it. That would be Telkar's default move.
Okay.
Would be, okay, how can he lift this and I can't?
Yeah.
Like, he wants to find out, is this just a really heavy hammer and a really strong dude?
I want you to roll me a investigation check, I think. Telchar.
Yeah. Boop.
Okay. So the summary is that, with a 12, which is slightly above average, that all logic points to, given the fact that he was also wearing armor and also carrying a large backpack full of who knows what, just like yourself, logic dictates he shouldn't be able to. Therefore, signs point towards magic or some other unbeknownst means of lifting a massive metallic up. Things you note is there are handholds on the hammer. However, there doesn't appear to be any magical runes upon either the head of the hammer or the shaft. And the handholds themselves don't appear to have any peculiar properties, aside from the fact that they appear to be able to be twisted. There are small, almost like circlets near the hilt that are slightly upraised, and they appear to be, while under high tension, able to be twisted, though you haven't done so.
This is Telchar we're talking about. He twists them.
Okay.
Oh no, does he?
Yeah. He just said he did.
No. Wait, I don't know if it works like that. Hold on. Yeah.
I believe it does.
Oh, without the. This is gonna be great.
What is the current weight of the giant crusher while carried, Nicholas?
Well, after the lightning strike last time, I think you said that it was completely discharged at that point, but it's been a few minutes, so I'm not really sure.
I think it wasn't completely.
Okay.
I believe I stated that it had gained a lot, but it wasn't 300.
Okay.
I'm going to say it has one good charge left in it. Okay, do you pick the bottom or the top to twist?
Telchar would... Well, he would try to be as scientific as he can about it. And I think he would attempt to determine if he can tell what they do. and he would try to logically think, if I were designing a hammer of this mass, and I wanted someone to be able to wield it, right? This was crafted by a dwarf. It wasn't crafted for a giant, probably. So I want someone to be able to wield it. How would I design a hammer to be able to make use of that weight? And Telchar would be using this logic to say, okay, we've got controls that do something. Maybe they modify the weight, maybe they do something entirely different. But right now, all I know about this is that it has a vast amount of weight. So let's hope it modifies the weight. Which control would I use to make it lighter? The top or the bottom? And Telchar would pick that control. Which
Sure.
I guess...
Yeah.
I think, given the motion you use when you're using like a sledgehammer, I think the one closer to the head would be for like drawing it back or up, because then when you're swinging a hammer, you pull that hand down.
Yeah.
As you swing. So I think the bottom one would have to be to make it heavier, so the top one would make it lighter. That's my logic, and I think that's fair to be Telkar's logic. So the one closer to the head.
Okay.
I felt like I was going through Sherlock Holmes deduction sequence.
All right,
series
so you're picking the bottom.
Except it's completely
Right, so-
wrong.
or the top.
Given that the head is on the deck, it is currently the bottom. The one closer to the head of the hammer.
The one closer to the head of the hammer is what you're doing. Got it.
Yeah.
Okay. And as you twist it, you notice a lot of tension. Do you twist it all the way, or do you just kind of partially do so?
I mean, he'll do it slowly and like watch for any changes and stop if anything seems to change in the hammer.
Okay, so this will be partial. Okay. Okay. Here's what happens.
Quit giving it away with your giggles, Nick. Gonna make Dante even more suspicious of your nefarious deeds.
My nefariosity.
Do you? You're gripping. Okay. So as you bend down and you feel this tension on your gauntleted hand slowly twisting, you hear kind of this low hum grow in volume as Draji begins to pass you, and she needs to make me a strength saving throw.
Oh.
Okay, yeah, just barely a success. Let me check here.
I'd skid, and then I'm like, where am I going?
Yeah, Draji,
She probably thinks it's the ship instead of the hammer.
a sudden force overcomes you, and you feel as though every bit and bangle on you is dragging you backwards. As you just kind of lean forward and almost like go onto all fours, but the resistance is dragging you backwards in such a way that you're kind of this hunched pose.
And this doesn't affect Telchar at all?
It doesn't. As yeah, you look around and quickly take your hand off of the thing. As a few moments later, the wave of force seems to pass and the humming dies down.
Yeah, Telchar will like run up to Draji and he'll be like, "What happened? How did it feel? Was it like like the pull of gravity but sideways, or was it like a magnetic force pulling on something you're wearing, or was it like a wind?"
Telchar is
you?
super activated.
It was as if claws had gripped all of my armor and was yanking me in a direction I didn't want to go.
Was it everything you're wearing, or just the metal?
It felt like it was just the metal. I don't think.
Huh. So it manipulates magnetic fields. And he runs back to the hammer.
Mm-hmm.
Dante. Dante is growing more irritated with each passing second.
Oh yeah, I assume that like this is all happening as you guys are walking down.
Yeah, I'm assuming like part of the party is halfway down
Yeah.
the stairs.
Yeah, Draji
Like,
was trying to
Telchar-
make it down, and then she's just suddenly, and then her boots are going backwards.
Her. You can hear the scraping of metal against wood as she's just like thrown in the backward direction.
She's just in this statuette pose of like arms going forward, like she's reaching for something to make it stop, and then she just keeps going backwards, and then you just see mild panic. She's like both looking at Symmetris and Dante, like with this question look, like what's happening. Looks
I'm
behind
guessing-
her for a brief second, sees Telchar like suddenly ramble on all these questions. She's in mild shock.
I'm guessing most of the people are down the stairs already. Telchar is many things, but quick is not one of them.
Katrogram's in the back. He is feeling both at home and isolated at the same time. It's a very weird feeling,
That is a
but not one that is unfamiliar to him.
Yeah. So I would
Um,
imagine at this point it would be fair to say that the three go down when Telchar's done using his questions and his research on the hammer.
Question, Dungeon Master.
Yeah.
Very important. Do any of these guys give off a good vibe?
A what vibe?
A good vibe, one that I'm looking for.
Any of the like Dragonborn people around you?
Yeah.
Okay. Are you asking? Are they personable? Are they sociable? Or are you asking if they're like apostle material?
Apostle material, obviously.
Oh, good question.
I'm not feeling very personal with these guys because they don't.
I want
feel
you to
very
roll
personal
me
anyway.
either insight or religion.
It's obviously going to be Baal Nash that's the apostle.
Obviously,
That's right.
I would love to roll insight because it's a better roll, but I feel like religion is what I need to do.
So insight would be you're kind of looking into their eyes and making an intuitive decision. Religion is like, do they fit these prophecies and stipulations and holy doctrine in the prophecy that you most recently learned?
Yeah,
Scout out their souls. Use your insight.
let's say that's a 9 in religion.
Yeah.
9.
You glance about, and you are once again reminded of why you left your homeland in the first place. Throughout history, the apostle can, hypothetically, be anyone. But there is always something about the apostle that sets them apart. You don't know what it is exactly, as that property has always been different throughout history. But it is obvious to you that these masses are no different than the people you left behind in a closet. Though you've struggled to come up with every relevant sanction and prophecy related to each individual you casually pass in the hallway as you follow Dante and Sam, you don't think any of these people could be the apostle. And if they were, your job would be impossibly difficult.
Instead, it's just regularly difficult.
That's correct. It is mostly impossibly difficult, as to try to do what you're currently doing is something most would not even attempt.
Kachargam will actually maneuver in the group a little bit towards Draji,
Mm-hmm.
and he will mumble towards her. This ship is old.
It feels old.
To think they used to use these to attempt to conquer the world.
Well, while that thought is fascinating, I do think I need to attend to something else.
Kachargam will not.
In this place of isolation, Katralgrim turns to Draji for some comfort, and she's just like, nah,
Nah.
right now.
Nah, bro. Nah, bro, not right now.
I mean, she's seeing that there probably needs to be a mediator.
She's
Between
too
the
busy
two.
playing matchmaker.
Yeah, I gotta get this
Well-
romance going.
She wants to make Dante and Smatras kiss.
So,
Samte.
Let them fight.
Samte.
Mortal
Ship.
combat.
Ship name Samte.
Begin.
Dante Matrius.
What are we doing right now?
Roleplay. Telchar is lagging behind.
What are we doing?
Katralgrim and
It's your
Draji
romance arc.
are kind of paired up, walking
I was-
behind Dante and Sam. You other two have been shown to a small bunk room. There are objects that you know to be sleeping accommodations called hammocks. You think used occasionally in the Navy. There are two on either side. It is a kind of a hyper compact, yet weirdly comforting space. The entryway is a kind of sliding partition made of some kind of water resilient fabric or texture. You're not exactly sure. It looks to be some kind of hide. You slide it open and walk in. The shipmaster, who has kind of been dogging your footsteps in the way back, comes by and says, "When you're ready to discuss plans, let me know.
Dante will
I trust you have this well in hand."
Yes, we will resolve this matter.
I leave 2 guards nearby. Call if there's need.
Dante pulls a wooden stake out of his backpack.
The stake of banishing.
I mean, I have the dagger, so I could just like banish him to the next convergence.
we banish him until the final part of the campaign. So we'll go ahead and go into the room, and then when Draji is present and the others are present, Dante will look at Sam, and he'll say, "You will hold nothing back." And
Of course.
he's gonna go ahead and cast Detect Thoughts.
All right.
And he's gonna say, "Show me everything."
You see Sam like nod like emphatically, and then like as he sees that you're casting something, you see him just like inhale sharply as if he was about to dive into water because he doesn't know what to expect.
And then so as
Yeah. Wait,
I would like for there to be a zone of truth involved.
As-
Detect thoughts and zone of truth.
so what's going to happen here is this is going to be a guided mind probe. Dante will so for example he'll start out by asking like take us back to the the time when you were carried away, for example. And
Christine,
then
do you
from
wanna-
there,
you wanna post a Zone of Truth as well, please?
What was that?
Would you say?
Are we
You-
casting
were,
Zone of Truth?
Were you saying you wanted a Zone of Truth to be involved, or
She was
or-
asking Dante if
Gotcha. Okay.
if he wanted Zone of Truth to be used.
DM, if a character chooses to fail the detect thoughts, that I don't think that you can lie to a detect thoughts spell, can you?
Usually not.
Yeah, I don't believe that a zone of truth is necessary.
So
here.
the anomalies you've encountered with detect thoughts are when the individual's mind has been altered magically, and they believe whatever they're telling you.
Got it. That's right.
Which
But
means
but
Which
even,
is not
was
something
Zone of
lies
Truth
can worry
too.
about.
But
That's
even,
also not something Zone of Truth can get around.
right.
Correct.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Like, yeah, I don't think it's necessary. But thank you for the offer.
Does Dante actually thank Draji, or is that just Donnie?
Oh, that's just me. Well, he would he. Would he say thank you? No, he wouldn't say it that way. He would say it would that isn't necessary at this time.
All right, and then effectively she would just be on standby, but she is watching these two like a hawk.
And so what's gonna happen is Sam will go in a direction with his thoughts, and then Dante might say, "I want you to go back and look at that again," or "I want you to go forward to this point," or "I want you it's a kind of an exchange, right?
Right. How many
and-
minutes does this last? Up to a minute. Okay.
Yeah, and Dante's going to be recasting this up to. He has a lot of spell slots, so he can recast this as necessary to kind of get a pretty good idea of the full picture. Dante will purposefully go in directions that he think might slip Sam up. Like, he might ask him to talk about. I think Sam had mentioned at one point being in the Vampire's Tower, and then he might jump back to the time his father was killed immediately, like instantly. Jump back to remember when your dad died, or no. Remember when
Remember when your dad died?
Yeah,
Remember that one time?
yeah, he'll literally do that, like very kind of. Sam, you don't. Throughout this interrogation, you do not get the sense that Dante is trying to protect your feelings at all. He is purposefully trying to abuse you
apart.
mentally with the intent of getting you to think something that you're not trying to think about.
Okay.
Or
Well, in the interest of adding some alacrity to this process, I think what I should do is probably give you the overview of what all you learn from this process about the story from where you left off at the dock, pushing away and seeing Symatris and Sheba fighting off the vampires up to this point. And then once that is concluded, you can tell me how you go about getting that information. Does it make sense?
yeah, DM, what do you think about that?
That works. If you'd like, I can narrate as well.
All right,
It's
perfect.
however you guys want to do it. It's
I'll give it a good go, but if I miss anything important, then I'll need your help.
go for it.
But we'll give it a go.
I'll let you guys take it.
Let me let me get a drink of water first, because something's happening in my throat. Of course. One
Take
sec.
it, Walter.
Did you say go get Walter?
Yeah,
Go get Walter.
we love Walter. Walter doesn't live on the moon.
Desmond.
How did I get here?
I want a little short story about Desmond.
Oh, okay, I'm back. Of course, the moment that I need to go into storytelling mode is when my throat starts messing up. All right, let's do this. So, after just a moment of kind of flurried thoughts, Sam goes back to the last moment that he knows that you would have seen him, which is him and Sheba fighting the horde of vampire thrall on the shore as you all push off in the boat in his valiant attempt to keep the vampires from reaching you because he knows that they are coming for him first. So as he's fighting and watching you all drift away from the shore, he reaches for the power of his contingency seal, but it comes a moment too late, and before the power can manifest, he is knocked unconscious. And the last thing he sees is the form of Sheba over him, tearing at the vampire thralls, and everything goes black. And then he died. Thank you. He then wakes up. I'm going to try to be somewhat loose with this description so we actually get through it. But he wakes up and is in the presence of higher up vampires. In particular, there's this one especially fancy looking dude. Let me see if I have his name readily at hand. If not, we're not going to worry about it for the moment. We can come back to it. Yeah, there we go. I believe that is Master Vanis Caries. Is a moon elf with white hair, and obviously a vampire. And this vampire speaks to him of prophecy and of fate, destiny, and something Symmetris is very important to the vampires.
Everybody sees Dante roll his eyes for some reason.
Right. So the vampires have some machinations that are not blatantly spoken, but Sam is important to them, and so they give Sam, despite the fact that he is a prisoner, they, at least at first, they give him some freedoms, and he is allowed to roam about the vampire underground lair, and he meets various strange characters as he is, as you can tell his thoughts, he is trying to figure out where he is, how he can get away, and whether he can get away, because there are various rules and stipulations that are leveraged magically over vampires. It turns out, though, that he, being a Dampier, is immune to some of these rules and regulations, and that is why he is important to them. Among the people that he meets, fairly soon he meets the human cattle that the vampires keep for extracting blood. At that thought, Sam thinks back to a cup of tea that Master Vanis Caries was holding, and actually gave Sam some to Sam. It is a tea made from a flower that is a replacement for blood, but that they have trouble cultivating enough of to actually feed everyone. So they instead feed all the vampires blood from these human cattle that are kept in absolutely horrid conditions in cells deep underground. Sam's thoughts, when he discovers this, immediately go to, how can I save as many of these people as I can and also escape? Because he needs to get back to his duties of protecting Ina and delivering her to her destiny. So, Sam eventually meets... Let me make sure I've got the right name.
Dante interrupts with an image of Vecna's servant. I forget his name, but he was the one who met us to try and cut the deal. Remember that, DM?
Yeah.
Dante just randomly interjects with an image of that, and then leaves it back to Sam.
Sam, in confusion, acknowledges that he remembers that and asks why you showed it to him.
I don't think Sam was there for that, was he?
No, that's right. Okay.
Edric, there for that one.
That was
Sam's,
that was
Sam's
before.
immediately super suspicious. Oh, I remember that.
I was
No,
there.
No,
No, it's
I was
getting mixed up.
What was the servant? No, I'm sorry. I forgot that was after.
That's okay.
That was player mistake, not Sam mistake.
No, that's fine. I can imagine that's really easy to do at this point.
Yeah. Sam is confused and asks why you showed him this creature, this entity.
Don't ask questions.
Sam is taken aback for just a second, but then he realizes who he's talking to, and he just kind of accepts it and moves forward with the story. Sam meets. I'm sorry, Austin. I don't have his name readily at hand at the moment. Apparently, what is his name? The one who worked with Sam to escape.
Silk.
Silk. That is right. Yes, he meets Silk, who is effectively. Could I call it defecting? Is that exactly what it is? Is that accurate?
I'm not exactly sure Silk ever necessarily paid allegiance to the vampires that you were with.
It's true. Okay.
Also, this is a face that Dante would recognize because
Of course.
this is the vampiric creature that approached the party after Sam had been infected with vampirism on the Silent Shores, or not the Silent Shores, the Morning Shores, excuse me, different location. The individual gave Sam the location of a temple of Pelor, where people like him may go to reach some sort of compromise. And then this figure appears once again later on to approach Sam deep in the recesses of this underground holding.
Dante memorizes the face.
Do you think with this is probably up to the DM, but do you think with the nature of detect thoughts that Sam would be able to tell that he is trying to memorize the face?
It's pretty one way, I believe.
Okay, fair enough.
Double check.
Yeah, I think you're right though.
Yeah. Say no.
Okay. Well, there is a scene of collusion between Silk and Symatris. And Symatris, being the hero that he wants to be, gives Silk the stipulation that during their escape, which Silk is the one who comes to Symatris about wanting to get him out of there and to escape. Sam gets a stipulation that we must try to take some humans with us and save them. And Sam's natural response is to want to get the ones who are most likely to have a future. He feels that the right thing to do is to try to get some of the children out. Sam doesn't think about how much harder it's going to be to try to keep up with children in the wilderness as they're escaping. He doesn't think about the hardship. He thinks about what he thinks is right and who is the most deserving or needing of salvation, and he thinks that he wants to try to save some of the children. Earlier in the memories, Sam's mind flips back to a moment where he first sees the human cattle, and he tries to encourage them by talking to some of them, and he accidentally smiles at them, and his fangs are shown, and they are terrified. Or at least some of the effect of his speaking to them was nullified by the fact that he has fangs and accidentally showed them to him. So
Dante would interject. And did you want to kill them all?
and Sam reacts with disgust and says, "No, I wanted to save them." But you can tell that saying that made him feel deeply terrible. You can tell you severely hurt him by saying that. So, after that interjection, Sam's mind goes back to the plan that he was making with Silk. At a time when there were not vampires around the, let's see, I forget exactly how Sam got the children out of the cell, but I remember that Sam was talking to the parents. Again, absolutely squalid conditions. Blood and feces everywhere in this cell. Everybody is bone gaunt. Symmetris appeals to the parents of these children, asking them to let him attempt to save them. Some of the parents, who are hoping for their children to have a future, accept this, and Sam gets, I think it was 5 children, to attempt to escort out of the
The caves.
out of the vampire fortress, yeah, and eventually out of the Isran forest and to the north. But Austin, how did we get the cage open? I forget that part. Was it Silk who was able to open it?
It was likely a summarized role. So to those of you who aren't aware, what we're talking about right now was actual content that was played. However, it was greatly streamlined. It was essentially like a choose your own adventure kind of summarized series of sessions. I think it was just 2.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that likely would have just been resolved somehow. Probably a simple die roll.
Right. So Sam now has these children that he and Silk are going to attempt to escape with through an opening into caves that Silk knew about, that were in the lower reaches of the vampire hideout. He and Silk and the children managed to escape into the caves and eventually make their way to the surface, where they are in the midst of the Isran forest, an extremely dangerous place. There are undead, mainly vampire thralls, throughout the forest, and Silk and Symmetris make a plan to head north and attempt to make it to one of the roads that go to Zethorn, and then out into the desert of Urs, being the safest place to be sure to be away from any thralls who may for some reason be able to escape from Isran Forest. It is at this point that Sam reveals that most vampires, to his understanding, cannot leave the Isran Forest because it is not their realm. Outside of Isran Forest, they're not welcome, basically, and vampires cannot go where they're not welcome. And that's Sam doesn't fully understand it, but that's as much of it as he understands. Right, so there is an extremely difficult period of time spent in the forest, traveling with these children, and Sam wears himself to the bone trying to get these children out of the Isran forest, along with Silk. Sam manages to find a partially destroyed trader's cart and manages to repair half of it, and he puts the children who are very weak and malnourished, by the way. He puts the children in the cart and begins carrying them north through the forest. And he spends his spare time hunting, gathering, trying to find food, rationing the water, and he and Silk have a very difficult time, but manage to get partway through the forest, maybe a few miles, before eventually tragedy strikes. The children gradually becoming weaker, sicker in the cold, not able to be warmed sufficiently by the fires at night, and the extra blankets that Symmetrus tries to give them, extra clothing. Eventually, tragedy strikes and children begin dying from disease, from wild animal attacks, and Symmetrus, who's been wearing himself to the bone, is racked with guilt that his attempts to save these lives ended up in this tragedy. He manages to make it near to the border of the Isran forest.
He's going to interject when the scenes of the children succumbing to the elements are making him feel particularly weak. Dante will flash an image of Ina to him. Like one of the last memories that Dante has of Ina, he'll send that over.
Sure. I want you to go ahead and cast the spell again, please.
Yep. Dante
Oh
will
my
be
goodness.
casting it using a 3rd level spell slot.
When you do this, the guilt that was already crushing Sam, and he was barely keeping it together, it absolutely doubles down. The weight brings the man to his knees. Draji, you standing by, watching, you see Sam just melt to the ground, onto his knees, and he's sobbing.
Dante holds a hand up. He'll hold up his left hand, palm out towards Draji.
She.
Continue.
Palm out to me? Oh, to Draji, saying, oh, to stop. Okay.
No, as in, yeah, basically don't interject.
Like, don't
basically.
intervene.
Yeah.
When you said palm out, I was confused. Okay.
Gotcha.
Yeah, she feels very uncomfortable about all of this, but she's learned to understand Dante.
And when he's kind of mentally losing it, does Dante sense any kind of aggression towards Ina whatsoever?
None. What you sense is Symmetrus feeling terrible about the things that Ina has had to go through, and Sam feeling terrible that he couldn't be there for her more than he has been. You get a sense that Sam very vividly equates his failures between failing these children and failing to be there for Ina.
Yeah, Dante will go ahead and try and he'll basically tell Sam, he'll speak aloud. It's like, okay, continue.
Sam takes a moment to recover from this, but he does, and he looks back up at you, and you see a lot of hurt on his face. You see not exactly anger, but just frustration along with that hurt. And he shakes his head and he goes back to the story where he left off, seeing the children who died by the wolf attack. They weren't exactly wolves, were they, Austin? They were, or were they common wolves? I don't actually remember.
They were bloodhounds.
Bloodhounds. That's what it was. Yeah.
They were canine creatures that had been afflicted with a strain of vampirism.
Dante Dante would send a message over to Sam upon hearing this, and it's almost it's an aside, but it's like Dante places very little importance on saying it, but he says it anyway, and he just kind of, it's almost like the mental version of mumbling. It says Isran Forest is no place for a child.
Sam agrees, and he says mentally that that's why he was trying to get them out of there, but it backfired. I just want to take a moment. As a player, though, I want to.
Can you communicate mentally with this spell?
That's a good point. Yeah, Dante would mumble it. If he can't communicate mentally, he would, yeah, I think you're right. I don't think he gets.
No, I don't think it's telepathy. Anytime you'd be sending a message would be Dante just like abruptly verbally saying a word that would cause images to flash across.
Got it. Yeah, agreed. So the mental image of Ina wouldn't be. Got it. Yeah, that makes sense. I'm sorry. I was thinking about this the wrong way. Yeah. In that case, Dante would be speaking these verbally. Yeah. I'm sorry.
So, like in the middle of the description of watching the children die,
right,
or seeing them dead.
Right. So to clarify, Sam, are you conveying this aloud, or are you doing this entirely mentally?
Well, you know, I guess the question is valid because it can be both. I was just kind of thinking that, like, he was thinking through all of this for Dante, like in an accelerated fashion.
Right, that's what I'm thinking
Dante
too.
Was just, and then Dante was just saying words at him to force thoughts. Like he just says, "Ina, you know, don't think of elephants," kind of thing.
Yeah.
Just say Ina, and how does he react when Dante says Ina? Right.
Right. Exactly. So yeah, the point of the detect thoughts interrogation here is twofold. First, to see if there's any malice in Sam that he's hiding from us. The other point is to kind of get his story in an accelerated fashion.
At least to Dante.
Sure.
Well,
if that's the case, if Dante is having moments where he's blurting out words and just mentions Ina and then sees Symmetra's falling to his knees sobbing, she doesn't like it, and she sees that Dante is asking for her to respect what he's doing with putting his hand up. But there's going to be a mild intervention where she says, "Remember when I found you on the road and I told you that Dante and Ina are safe and sound and alive?"
You see, yeah, actually, you see, once his fit of sobbing is concluding and that hurt look is pointed towards Dante, he then takes a moment to look at you, Draji, and he'll say, well, no, he'll just give you a look of appreciation. And he'll say, I just wish that I could be part of the reason she's safe. And then he'll go back to the storytelling. And there are now 2 children left, because if I remember correctly, 1 died from disease and 2 died from the bloodhounds. Oh, that's right. As a player, I just wanted to point out the... I don't know if this is intentional by you, Austin, or not, but brilliant storytelling in that Sam's story as a hero begins with fighting off hellhounds to protect innocent civilians. And so his personality trait on his character sheet is listed as, I can stare down a hellhound without flinching, and his bond is, I fight for those who cannot fight for themselves. And his story has come around to fighting off bloodhounds to protect children, and he fails. At least in his mind, he fails. Like, this is like the low point for Sam, at least. Like, it's just kind of funny that storytelling wise it mirrors like that. Anyway,
at this point, Telchar, you have successfully Somehow, I'll assume you are ingenious and strong enough to have moved the giant crusher to wherever you see fit, and you would have had opportunity to rejoin the rest of your companions by now if you want.
Yeah, totally. He just kind of saunters into this room, awkwardly hauled.
It just plops down the hammer.
Yeah, and sits on it.
Sure.
Like with that the cool kid in class flipping the chair around and sitting on it backwards, sort of. Yeah, that's how he sits on the
Yeah.
hammer.
Riker mounting the chair.
That is a really funny image. This huge hammer, he just sits on the head of it. He's like holding the haft off to the side. He's just like,
oh,
that's really funny.
It was Jeremiah.
They
He
could
could
do-
only stay for a little while.
Okay, picking up where we left off, Sam, the two children, and Silk are, I think at that point they were about roughly 3/4 of the way to this road that they were trying to get to that heads north out of Israel Forest. During this process, they've had to change their route a couple of times to try to get around the worst of what is to be expected on the border of the Israel Forest. And Silk introduces to Sam the fact that there is basically the equivalent of patrol. And these undead vampiric creatures that patrol these areas are especially nasty. The details, because they're basically magical thrall kind of creatures, go a little bit over Sam's head, but he understands they're very strong enemies. And that they are something to be feared, and that Silk, who is also relatively powerful, also fears them. And so he is forced to respect the idea that we need to avoid them on our way out. So Sam, counter to his normal personality of going headlong into danger, is taken to sneaking about with these children, trying to keep their profile low, trying to leave as little trace of their progress through the forest as possible. Eventually, they come close to the border, and on their way out, another death occurs, but at this point, it is not the children. As they're trying to sneak their
Sam.
way out, the final...
Sam dies.
That's right.
Again, as they're trying to sneak their final stretch of the way out of the border of the Israel Forest, they are caught. And they are forced to attempt to escape the clutches of one of these fearsome creatures. Actually, it's multiple of them, especially when it starts, if I remember correctly, starts screaming or some kind of communication like that to let its like-minded thralls know about their location. So Sam, attempting to hide with these children in the underbrush, is forced to just bodily pick them up and make a mad dash for it. Now, at this point, Silk, who has been speaking this whole time about plans that he has outside of the Eastern Forest once he manages to escape, if he's able to escape, and who at this point has struggled a couple of times with wanting to drain the blood from these children, but fighting that urge, along with Sam's help fighting that urge, at this point, sacrifices himself in order to allow Sam and the children to escape. You see an image of Sam with the children in his arms, using his contingency power to quicken his step and to fly, quite literally at some points, through the underbrush, escaping the Israel Forest, looking back over his shoulder and seeing the form of Silk being held aloft on the blade of one of these horrid creatures, which then turns its gaze towards Sam and the children and starts after them. Sam manages to escape, with the children in tow, onto the road south of Zethern. Just barely. With his last breath, Silk calls forth an armada of bats, which protect Sam and the children from projectiles that were being fired at them from their adversaries in the forest. And they managed to escape, tumbling out of the forest, as it were, onto the road. And Sam, as ready to defend, takes a moment. And so after they see that they're not being pursued out of the border of the forest, he takes the children and starts heading north, but eventually collapses from exhaustion.
Okay, so Dante will be very careful to note how the memories are formed in this section, and then he's going to compare them to how the memories are formed in the next section. Now, as a player here, Nick, is there a lot more to the story?
The rest is fairly streamlined after that point.
Okay, okay.
If you like, I will summarize any omissions and continue the story.
Yeah. Basically,
Okay.
I just want to I want to be considerate of everybody else's time here.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well.
So big omissions.
Oh, okay.
So this is something you would have definitely noticed from the interaction Symantris had with this Silk character. There is a reason Silk approached Symantris in order to get him out, and it wasn't out of the goodness of his heart. Silk is of the mind that there is something quite precious in Isran Forest, and Silk still bears loyalty to the Leonic Empire.
Interesting.
Why he is was something inquired about by Sam. He was apparently a part of some secretive society that served the hegemon. In any case, let me just run through some of my notes here. So, Dampier are a thing in short supply, is something he informs of. They are a rarity, sought after by the many denizens of the forest, primarily because Dampier have the ability to leave the forest. It seems Dampier are one of a few creatures that have somehow inherited ownership of the forest. Ancient rites bind vampires to not be able to cross a threshold unless invited. To leave the forest, you either need to own the forest or have the owner of the land beyond bite you forward. There are great clans to the north that have been ushered out into the Nenter Vale, beckoned by the service of Vecna, preferring service to eternal solitude in Isran Forest. But Silk knows something more. There is a reason the Great Forest is the domain of the Dampiers. Long ago, there was a great warrior, dual in his aspect. He slew many innocents and evildoers alike. This warrior was Vecna's lieutenant, the one who betrayed him to his initial demise after the Circle of Eight were destroyed and much of Severia conquered under Vecna's dread reign. His name was Kaz, and he bequeathed ownership of Isran to the Dampier, of which he was. It is said somewhere in Isran lies his tomb, and within, the blade of Vecna's bane, the sword of Kaz. This blade was the one which severed Vecna's hand from his body. There are those who would have used Sam to acquire the blade, as it is said only a Dampier can pass the trials to access it. However, not for Vecna's demise, but to earn his respect, perhaps to attain a greater station in Vecna's court. The clan in this area is not of pure descendants from the Red Witch, the progenitor of vampirism. As such, they are regarded as lowly. Once they did their part in the destruction of the holdings of Isran, they were abandoned. Silk believes he knows where the tomb is, but it is guarded. Not only by a host of new bloods and neonates, but beyond them, great arcane wards and constructs. To assail the tomb with the two of them would have been folly. Silk knew the land beyond might do something about it, mount a full-scale attack, or send an elite team to seize the blade. From which Silk's deal was offered. Mutual passage from Isran into the lands beyond. Beyond that.
So it was heavily
Nope.
insinuated that the tomb is in Isran Forest somewhere.
It is, yes.
Okay.
Beyond that, you note the bloodthirst that Silk displayed and the incredible self-control he displayed, attempting to avoid killing the children or devouring their blood. But you also noted as time went by, Sam also fell prey to these machinations, his own biology and necromantic energies at work. You know that
Yes.
Sam does not have to subsist entirely on blood, at least you don't think. However, there came a time when he was fighting against his own inner demons to avoid slaying the children he had called his own.
There was also a point at which,
yep.
that just reminded me. There was also a point at which Sam brought out the last of that tea, the small bag-like containers that had the leaves of this, or the petals, I think it was, of this flower.
Yep.
And was able to brew the last of this tea and share some of it with Silk, which helped to sate the bloodlust.
After having crossed the border of Isran Forest into the wastes, the rest is a bit of a blur to you, Dante. In Sam's mind, he fell unconscious, the two children in his arms. The next he awoke, he was being drugged or carted on a wagon wheelbarrow through the desert. He found himself soon enough enslaved to new masters, an arena in Morgulad. It is there he fought for his own freedom for the course of many weeks, and found a new home for the two children, who had also been indentured. After he finally escaped the great arena of Morgulad, the Crucible, as those there call it, earning his freedom through martial combat, he set off to the northeast, knowing the target destination of the party, crossing over great land, many miles, many adventures. He has had just as much trouble as you all have, if not more, and with far less provisions and far less company. Eventually, he found himself in the province of Ellesmere, with snow-covered hills, grassy plains as far as the eye could see. Slowly making his way northeast, asking questions, learning about the cardinal heroes, who in recent times have been seen in a more dire light. And so it was there, on the King's Road to Dionysus, near the village of Caro, he encountered Draji and Katralgrim, having stopped on a Pegasus.
Mm-hmm.
And you know the story from there.
All right. So, yeah, you'll see Dante kind of relax his shoulders a bit, and then he'll say, "It appears that if you are a servant of Vecna, you do not know it." And he'll go ahead and stop the spell, and he'll reach out a hand to Symatros. I take it your goal is to join us in our efforts?
Sam, his face still moist.
Moist.
He looks up at Dante, kind of like this mixture of relief, disbelief, and still yet pain on his face. And he sees the outstretched hand. He hesitates for only a second, and he reaches up and he takes the hand and comes to his feet. And he says, Dante, not just that, I want to rejoin. It's still me. I'm just more complicated now, he says, kind of like shrugging his shoulders. And you can tell that he's annoyed by the complication that he speaks of.
I think it suits you. Dante kind of looks over at him a little bit. He'll go ahead and turn around, and he'll start to walk out of the room. And when he looks over at Draji, he'll say, "We need to watch this one. He's hard to kill." And there you can see a small smile out of the corner of his mouth.
See a twinkle of appreciation of that humor.
Now is it Draji that sees the smile, or do you turn back so that Symantris can see the smile?
I don't think Dante would let. I don't. Okay, so Dante doesn't realize a lot of the emotion that he's having right now, but he would definitely be sure that if he did have any, he wouldn't let Sam see it just yet.
So when you say he's hard to kill, Draji, I presume you're still standing in a position where you can still see Sam as Dante walks away. You see Sam visibly sag. You note that though his frame is capable of carrying such a massive weapon as he does, that this turn of events and this term of terminology weighs heavier on him than any 300 nondescript weight unit hammer ever could.
Right, yeah, seeing his physical reaction, like, there's the immediate response of, like, recognizing Dante's sense of humor, and, she has, like, a small smile, realizing that it's a minor compliment from Dante. But then seeing him physically sag, she would look at Symantris with considerable concern and say, that might be the case, but he's carried this burden by himself for a long time, and it's obvious that he's very weary, and we're about to go into a fight with a sea creature. If there's any chance for him to rest at all, I would prefer that he did that now.
Yeah, Dante would reply that, well, there's still some unfinished business left, and we need to have another meeting with the shipmaster. Sam, if you'd like to come along, you're welcome, but you can also take my quarters to rest if you need. Same goes for you as well, Draji. I know that you've had a long journey.
She stands up straight and says, I'm fine.
He's being considerate.
Well, he's grown a little bit.
To everyone but Katragrum, I see how it is.
You were sent on guard duty.
Well, no. Dante would be including Katragrum in that if Katragrum was here.
No, he's there. He's just standing in a corner.
He's brooding in the corner.
Yeah.
Like Dante should be.
Well, how do you
we all
proceed?
know that Katrogrum's a freak. He doesn't need to sleep.
Well, he doesn't need to eat, for sure.
He doesn't need to eat or sleep or
He's just free. Like me. Alright.
Does he need to
balance. Never sleeps.
So, what are you guys doing?
Sam says, Sam, who is, he hears, he's the kind of guy who more or less wears his heart on his sleeve. Draji, when you mentioned that y'all are about to go into a fight, you can just kind of see from Sam's demeanor that he takes this, he just immediately jumps at this as an opportunity to prove himself. And you see him just straighten himself up, like straighten his tattered clothes a bit, and he says, "I'm ready. I am ready to do whatever needs to be done." And he starts following you all out to go to the meeting. Uh, Although he still looks tattered and worn from even just a passing glance, you can tell by looking at his face that he's not exhausted levels of tired. But you can also tell that he's been pushing himself for a long time. He's just kind of this worn edge that just keeps giving, and he's ready to
Worn
to
Edge
keep
arc.
to. It,
Yeah,
anyway,
Draji would like put up both hands and sort of like mildly motion in a sense of like, stay put. And she says, I know you're eager, but if you push yourself too hard, you would be causing more harm than help. She sort of glances to the side and says, I should be the one to know that.
Sam kind of looks at you and squints just a little bit for a second, and then like puts his hand on his chin and he nods sagely, and he'll say, "I know what you mean, but I think I can take it. And besides, if this meeting is going to be about the fight that we're about to have, did you say something about a sea creature? Well, I think I should be as up to date as possible about our new foe as I can be. Or not new foe. He knows who it is. He knows Dan. So he about our old foe is what he'd say.
Has anyone mentioned that it's Dan Dan?
Draji
Daniel
mentioned
DeVito.
it was.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah, with her on the road. You were there for that. Oh my.
yeah, and he even told the story of how they ran into the Dan the first time.
They ran into the Dan with their
Right into the
fan
Dan
fan.
Dan.
But okay, yeah. So then Draji would concede, saying that he's probably like he's right in this, that he needs to be up to date. But then there's like a mild stubbornness about him that says, I'm gonna keep going regardless of how worn I am. So she's like, okay, well, another stubborn one. Oh, good. But yeah, she says, well, I need to be caught up too. I don't exactly know what's been going on. She kind of eyes Telchar and Dante in question when she mentions that.
It is at this point that he goes over and greets Telkar, who is presumably still sitting on the hammer, and he'll say, "Well, as you probably gathered by now, I'm an old associate of Dante's. I think I passed whatever test he has. Do you want that I should take the hammer back, or?"
So I'm curious, DM, how... I think the answer is not very, but I just want to confirm. Dwarven culture doesn't have any kind of, like, super protectionism about the stuff they make. Like, dwarves regularly make stuff for other people, so I'm assuming we don't have this attitude of, like, this was made by a dwarf, you can't use it.
You
But I just
do.
want to confirm.
There is everything has to do with the intent of the creation, right? If it was if a piece of equipment or weapon was made for a specific individual or demographic of people, then in dwarf mind, that intent should carry throughout the equipment's lifetime. You don't know the intent of this equipment. Presumably, it was made here for somebody like Sam, considering the clan that made it.
Yeah, that makes sense. And it seems, since Sam has no trouble using it, I'm assuming it's sized for a tall person.
Yeah. Yes, it's a little bit short. Like it's technically a maul in terms of the training you require, but it is a bit of a short maul. So it could hypothetically be wielded by someone of dwarf kind or short.
So it's Mjolnir. Gotcha.
Bigger than Mjolnir, but it's definitely a two-handed weapon.
So,
It's like 4 feet long instead of 5.
all right, yeah, he'll sort of step off the hammer and gesture to it. It's
As
a nice piece of equipment.
Yeah, noting your interest, as Sam reaches for the hammer, there is a slight hum as he picks it up with his gauntlet and just very swiftly and lightly snaps it onto his back again, where it begins humming again. You probably know the sound, or at least the sound seems to be the sound of the weapon charging.
I'm curious. Telchar will look at the gauntlet. Are you only wearing one?
No, I've got one. You could probably tell by looking that it's made by the same creator. He's wearing a harness on his body that the hammer attaches to on his back, and he's got 2 gauntlets that also have properties that interact with the hammer when he picks it up. Hence the humming noise.
Fascinating. Yeah, Telkar's very interested. But he does know better than to bother people by inspecting items that are on them.
Well, actually, as he picks it up and as we begin walking, Sam will say, kind of matter-of-factly, he'll say, this hammer, made by a dwarf, you know?
I could tell.
And he'll say, yeah, his name was Corin. Great inventor.
Made it for you.
Telchar, you have a sudden flash of memory as you remember briefly sitting on a bench in the Queen's Garden waiting to be seen in Leandra and having a short conversation with another dwarf who sat there, who was apparently in charge of or was contributing to the fireworks display that was to be used to celebrate the new year. This would have been several weeks ago. That dwarf's name was Corin.
I do remember that.
Surely a coincidence. It can't be the same craftsman.
Well, yeah, Sam starts to go on a brief explanation of how the hammer is. It feels lighter to him when he's wielding it because of the get up, and it has various abilities that, as you've probably deduced already, and I imagine that you animatedly speak about, that interact with or that exude magnetism in a field around the user, but don't affect the user, and etc., etc. There's a brief conversation about this, I presume, before we get to the meeting. And I think from that, I could probably, unless the DM says it's too complicated, I could probably go ahead and give you the stat block off the hammer.
Yeah, for sure. You know the intricacies of it. Feel free to share.
I will send it to you because this is something that Telchar would probably be interested in knowing how it works and perhaps interacting with in the future.
Probably.
Anyway, I'll go ahead and send that to him, but let us proceed with the meeting.
Grab some mold. Okay. Yeah, as you guys enter the room, you see a few yards down the hall a couple of Dragonborn guards who sit with kind of curved blades at their hips, glance your direction. Their gaze kind of lingering on Katralgrim slightly as you exit. One of them walks up, speaking in Draconic, just assuming that you all speak it.
Draji understands it. He can speak it.
We have been instructed to bring you to the captain's quarters when you are concluded in this business. Kind of gestures to the room.
Yep. We will allow them to escort us.
Kind of glances at you all. The clanless walks in the back. Turns and walks forward.
Good thing Katrargan was already in the back.
Wait, Kyle, I'm sending you things. But yeah, continue.
Okay. You, Telchar and Dante, you take a familiar route. Katralgrim, you've been on many ships in your travels, many Dragonborn ships. This has a vaguely familiar layout, but everything is just tremendously scaled up. You head the length of the ship, and then begin to scale your way up towards kind of the rear of the ship, where various HQ-related facilities lie, including like a planning room, and of course the captain's quarters. You are brought into the large kind of desk, library-esque area that I described in an earlier session. Quite large, multi-floor, kind of a ladder going up to bookcases on the upper floors. As you pass through kind of a foyer kind of area, you see Bale Nash once again, Draji.
Immediately, there's
and-
like a lightning strike of recognition between the
Yes,
two. Rivalries.
Yeah, he gets up, and you see like a thin trail of saliva running from his jaw to kind of like his chest area. It's like he was like napping or something
Sleeping?
before
Okay.
you got there.
I was about to say.
And his eyes kind of sharpen blurrily as he rubs them. As the guards kind of glance dangerously at Bale Nash. Leave it be, Spawn. These have business. Bale Nash kind of like he almost looks like giddy as he kind of reaches for a massive jagged blade on his back that he reaches for and grasps air as he realizes it's not there. Looks back. And by this time you have walked through the small kobold attendant.
Wait. Yeah. When seeing him like being eager to fight, she'll pass and say, "Don't worry, we'll have a rematch soon." And just continues forward.
You might notice, like at just the moment that there is any hostility coming from Bale Nash, like almost automatically, like his face doesn't even twitch, just almost automatically, Sam starts reaching for his weapon as well. Like you can tell that there was not even a thought given to it. But then, like, he comes to himself and, like, takes his hand away from his weapon.
Katrargan is his weapon.
He's reaching for Katralgrim all along.
He smacks him with the control room.
The mightiest weapon that we have.
Mm-hmm. It punches.
Okay. Yeah, the little kobold attendant who you met session last or before that kind of bows and waves you in. You walk through into the study area. Sitting at his desk, you note several new chairs having been brought in. You assume displayed around the desk, enough for all of you.
Question.
He stands as you enter.
Quick question. Do the kobolds share the similar taboo against the clanless?
They would ostracize you only because they would be experiencing social pressure to. Their people bear no inherent prejudice against clanless Dragonborn. And technically, clanless do still outrank most kobold in terms of like the societal hierarchy.
Fair enough. Continue.
Yeah. Welcome. Please. Gestures to the seats.
We take Dante takes his seat.
Petrarchum takes his spot in the corner away from the seats.
I'm assuming this is the remainder of your company.
Dante nods.
I spy among your number Lady Dawnfield of the Ulonic Empire.
She passed
Kind
her
of
head.
glances over. Kutrolgrim, clanless of the homeland. Pilgrim Vio. You notice Anubarak is looking you square in the eyes and even gives you a very small bow of respect.
Kutrogrim will very minorly awkwardly shuffle himself into a more presentable position and give him a bow in return.
Glances over to Symatris. I do not believe I have heard tale of you.
Sam, like, his mouth starts to open and then it snaps shut again, and he says, you probably wouldn't have. I've been far away for a long time, while these others have been up to, it sounds like a lot of mighty deeds, which I have not been here for. My name is Symatris Gillianfold.
If you are here to aid in our efforts, you are most welcome.
Yes, I am. And glad to.
So I think you meant I am here to aid in our efforts, but it sounded like you meant I am welcome.
Sorry. Yeah, no, he would have meant it that I am here to assist and glad to.
Okay. After everybody's been properly greeted, Nubarak turns to Dante. I'm assuming you have brought them up to speed on our endeavors as of late.
Unfortunately, I have been preoccupied with another matter. However, this would be a good time to give them a summary of what's been transpiring.
Very well. A few days ago, I made first contact with Silverkin and Firebeard, your human and dwarf friend. During that time, we have made arrangements to attempt to fight this sea creature you refer to as Dandin. Preparations proceed, though slowly. We have made efforts to salvage this underwater vault that was submerged during the sea creature's attack. This belonged to the Fiend Hunter brothers, heroes of renown in these states.
At this, you see Symatris perk up because he's interested in hearing, well, what's happened to them.
The hope is that such munitions will prove most helpful in a battle against the sea creature. However, while we have drained the surrounding area of water that I must say is quite cursed, we lack a key to access it. The Fiend Hunter brothers were not mentioned recently to you. However, you recognize the name from a note that you acquired during your previous encounter with Dandin.
Yeah.
This Dante's going to go ahead and pull out Schneider's sextant, and he's going to remember the key, and he'll just say, "Key to the vault."
Okay. So you did not see the key. You know of its existence vaguely, and Telchar has described it to you.
Ah,
You
So could Telchar use the sextant?
Yeah,
Perhaps.
Dante would let Telchar use it.
Telchar saw the fringes of it as it was essentially being inserted. That was being palmed by the brother Finral, I believe, in order to ensure that it was not so obvious. But yeah, do you hand the sextant to Telchar?
Mm-hmm.
All right,
Yeah, he'll try.
go for it. I want you to roll me just a d20, Telchar.
Cool.
Okay. After a few moments of kind of focusing on the brief mental image you have of the key in your mind, Telchar, the sextant whirs a little bit and then slowly seems to come to a stop. It doesn't snap into place exactly. Kind of off to your east, and it appears to be ever so slightly wavering back and forth.
Interesting.
Almost like a compass would. Yes.
Um, with that, Dante would say, we should have a location of it now. We'll be able to fetch it in the morning.
Isn't it already morning?
I think
Wait,
it's
what time of day is it?
I think it's evening, isn't it?
It's Dante just burned all his spell slots interrogating Sam time of day.
It is. It is late day, most certainly.
Okay.
As you present the sextant to Telchar, Anubarak almost like leans over his desk a little bit and stands. What's that? It could not be. It is the Seeker Stone.
What is a Seeker Stone?
That is the Seeker Stone. He gestures to the sextant.
We just said that.
That's
That's an unhelpful clarification.
she is confused again, and she's like, no, that's the sextant. That's been in my family for generations.
For generations, perhaps. Where was it before
Wait.
that?
Could Trogam recognize the term Seeker Stone
Roll me a history check.
as a natural born across?
I didn't understand your question, Austin.
Roll a history check, Katralgar.
Nope.
It's vaguely familiar, but you cannot place it.
sounds like a seafarer's kind of stone, I guess.
I am surprised. I was under the impression up until now you were in the company of well-storied and knowledgeable Dragonborn. The Seeker Stone is an object of myth for my people. It was used long ago to attempt to find the long-lost city of Iovan Thor. The Brass Citadel. That was its intention. Why it was created.
It definitely has more to it than just finding a lost city. It seems to be able to help you find anything that you are well acquainted with, and to an extent, some of what your heart desires.
Indeed. The Seeker Stone is a relic of finding. It is for seekers. It comes to those who have something to find.
Well, we are definitely trying to find something.
I suspect, he glances at Katralgrim, it has found its way to you for one reason in particular. It is fortuitous that you have this object. He sits back down. I trust that you will take well care of such a piece of draconic heritage.
Draji thinks back of a time when we were throwing stones in Leandra and hitting people in the head trying to find out how it worked.
Yes, the best of use.
Yeah, Dante would kind of nod respectfully. It has been of utmost service to us.
With how the conversation is moving so far, Katrogrim would like to roll his insight on him.
You rolling insight on Anubarak?
On Anubarak, yes.
Yeah.
18.
Certainly. You definitely get the impression that there are words left unsaid, or perhaps that will be spoken. Anubarak seems to have a concept of who you are, what you're doing, and plans to speak about it further. You sense some degree of perhaps sympathy, maybe even a kindred soul in this veritable prince of dragonborn nobility.
For anyone that is keeping any eyes on the Targum, he will seemingly ease a bit in the corner.
He will what?
Ease, like, relax a little bit.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah, sure.
He feels like he is here for a reason now. He understands. Continue.
Well, with the Seeker Stone, your odds of finding this key go up considerably. If it is resolved tomorrow, then we can begin making plans to drive away or destroy this beast which has hounded our coastline. Well, your coastline. Kind of glances at Draji, but one we have called home for many moons now.
Yeah, she just sort of like does a shrug. Not much of a coastline anymore.
Well, it has increased considerably. Kind of looks at you dryly.
Right. Yeah, she sort of shrinks at that.
How
Looks
has
away.
how has the progress been going on the depth charges?
Your craftsman and warrior Telchar Firebeard has made considerable progress. He has worked with a master craftsman of ours. My understanding is that perhaps 5 or 6 already, though as yet untested. But Zayn vouches for their integrity.
Fire is a specialty of my clan.
Dante kind of looks over at Telchar in a little bit of appreciation.
Nice.
Dante will nod.
As for other matters, we have recently made contact with one of the sea elves we thought was perished at sea. Triton, I believe your people call them. This individual was surely a warrior. He is unconscious. We brought him in this evening. He appears unaffected by the curse of the sea, perhaps a byproduct of his physiology. There are many legends about his people in Dragonborn waters. They are a species highly resilient to the horrors of the depths.
Next project, splice sea elf DNA into all of our crew.
Yeah.
Genetic engineering.
And of course, there is still no word from the Fiend Hunter brothers. We assume they are both dead, and as such we should proceed as though there will be no further help from them.
You hear an audible gasp from Sam in the corner, and he says, I had very much hoped to meet them.
You see some.
Telka
Panic.
says, "Dinna worry, laddie. With the nature of this beast, you may still get your chance."
Oh.
And, like, Sam actually looks at you in confusion for a minute. You just see him, like, his chin goes to his chest, and he has like this confused look on his face, trying to parse what exactly you mean.
Yeah, for those who don't know, close proximity with the water tends to distort the minds of those who are near it. They tend to become some kind of creatures that are capable of swimming in the
Telchar
water.
just meant we might die.
Well,
That's
yeah,
what you meant.
that's funny.
But in Dante's explanation, you can tell that Sam is sharply paying attention to understand about more about his potential foe.
As a matter of fact, we should have a demonstration. Sam, you should go look in the water.
What do you mean? He starts for the door.
Don't listen to him.
Oh, okay.
Do you have
Shoot.
a reflection? We should check in the water.
No, Telchar.
At this point, he's starting to get a handle. With that statement, he's starting to get a handle on your sense of humor. And he
That's
just
good
kind of
because I haven't.
he just kind of looks confused for another moment, but then he just kind of grins at you. I think you and I are going to get along.
Well, assuming we gain access to the munitions as planned tomorrow, how long do you think it will take for your seemingly formed party, though I note a lack of Lord Zelgius among your number, to acquire said munitions?
Once we gain access to it, we'll probably need to bring a small cargo boat tomorrow, and then we will bring it back to the vessel, bring it back to the art ship. But yes,
Telchar
tomorrow.
looks weirdly at the captain, and he says, "Lord Zelgius?"
Do
You hear-
you not know Zelgius is a noble family?
He rambled on about it was the most noble family.
The noblest, not noble family.
Did he do this rambling before Telchar joined the party?
He joined the party after Telchar, didn't
It was after, but anytime he introduced himself, he always mentioned that he was Edric Zelzius, the noble of a noble family.
The noblest member of the noblest noble family. As you can tell, because I have them memorized.
Though it should be said
Frankly, Telchar thought he was joking.
it should be noted that in recent years, Zelgius has been somewhat eclipsed by House Ventas. They are in a primarily subservient role. I'm surprised
thought
you
he
did
was
not know
serious.
his station.
It's not that we didn't know his station, I guess there just wasn't an appreciation, because if you knew him on a personal level, I think you would understand.
To my knowledge, Ejark Zelgius is the heir apparent to the Zelgius name. He would be a patriarch, much like myself.
Yes, and you definitely act more like a patriarch than an Edric did.
Oh, come on!
But that isn't to say that he didn't have a heart of gold and sought out the better interests.
He had a heart of gold?
Lady
Not
Dawn,
What did we keep him
literally.
alive for?
Annabrant kind of shoots you a slightly dangerous look. I will forgive you your verbal lapse, as you are a companion of Ejark. But to speak of a lord in such a way is to invite misfortune.
Telchar coughs, and he says, "Out of respect for my friend, he's a good man, fleeing from the path life has for him. And I hope he finds it before his family needs him."
What has happened to Lord Zelgius, if I may ask? He is not among your number, obviously.
He's retired. Sort of.
He's decided to take himself into the sidelines of our efforts because the front lines were just far too harsh on him.
Frankly, I think it's because he couldn't carry as many books as he wanted.
I see. Last I had heard, he had left home long ago for reasons relating to his master. Did he ever uncover such things?
Some of them,
But
much
not
to
all of
our
them.
dismay.
I know he has intentions on meeting up with a gentleman that has a similar passion to finding the artifacts of his old master. And
Did we... Who has the mirror?
Yeah, he does. He took the mirror
Edric
with
still
him.
has the mirror.
Okay.
Yeah, he definitely took that with him. He's not letting that fall by the wayside.
Still surprised he left without taking Katrogram's hands.
He can't take these hands.
He had a conversation with Katrogam about it, and let him know that he's going to need them back at some point. But
They're rated R for punching.
Wait,
well,
Arkinzel was a very famous scholar and enchanter in our homeland. Worldwide, really. I wish him the best of luck. Though it is an ill comfort to know he is on his own now.
he's most definitely not on his own. He's in the comfort of someplace very safe. I'm just making sure that that information isn't public, so to speak, so that he can stay safe.
This is good to hear. Well then, do we have further business to discuss, Mr. Silverkin?
Is he asking that?
Yeah.
Oh. I don't believe so. We should be ready to draw the creature out the day after tomorrow. Preferably in the morning so that we do not have a conflict at night.
I see, this is most wise. My people do not see well in the darkness, and I understand neither do yours.
Regarding your people, do you have any idea of what the votes will be when it is decided to attack it?
Tomorrow, if you are successful in recovering these munitions, a census will be held. You'll be welcome to attend, however, your vote will not be counted.
Dante nods.
I wish to ensure all possible resources in favor are available to us before taking it. There are many among our number who are very hesitant to assault a sea monster of that size, with so many lives on the line.
Telchar kind of coughs and says, I'm still not confident using this ship is the best decision. Bigger does not necessarily mean more survivable, and I think a smaller, more nimble vessel could get our depth charges off just as easily and get us to the fight. And I suspect it will end with us in the water, relying on spell and sword.
Those who come into contact with the water begin to have attacks made on their mind. I would prefer it not come to that.
We
And-
are stronger-willed than most.
Indeed. Frankly, however, I don't see that the
Draji raises her hand.
well,
What is this custom?
What is this custom? Yeah, Telchar and Dante are still talking. And they mention all this. She raises her hand, waiting patiently for her turn to speak up.
yeah, Dante would just get out real quick that, frankly, I don't see how the Ark ship has much of a choice. If we fail in our endeavor, they're still going to be trapped here.
But if we succeed and cost the lives of this entire clan, I think that is a price too high.
Draji?
Yeah, I like the idea that Dante and Telchar don't notice that Draji has her hand up. I
And they're
think
just
that's
still
totally
talking.
in character. They would completely just keep debating without ever noticing that Draji has moved.
Yeah, she looks at both of you hesitantly. It says, I just want to give a gentle reminder that I cannot swim. And just sort of puts her hands back in her lap.
Dante wouldn't laugh, but I think it's funny.
Telchar says, neither can I.
But you fought in Lake Altria.
And I won.
Yeah. So you're able to swim. You were actually above water.
I just fought the ocean, and I won.
Well, if you're able to fight that ocean, you should be able to fight this ocean
Precisely.
with ease.
So
Okay.
you won't need to swim, because I will have defeated the ocean.
All right, I'll stand on this arc ship and cheer from a distance. Sound good?
As long as you're within 10 feet, so we get a bonus to our int saves.
Newbrat kind of shakes his head. I am presuming my common speech is lacking. You say defeat the ocean.
It no longer has feet. Do you see any feet on the ocean? No. You're welcome.
Sam is just absolutely baffled by multiple things he's just heard in this exchange. Not just from Telchar either. When I just want to point out that I just want to put out there that when Draji says something about not being able to swim, you hear the slightest scoff from Sam,
She blushes.
and then with the exchange with Telchar, he just looks utterly confused, and then he just gives a big old grin to Telchar and just like gives him a big old slap on the back. He says, "You're a clever one. I like that."
Lady Dawnfield, does not your house holdings border the holy lake Kaladnaji? And you say you cannot swim?
So, Nick, in my parents' house, they keep the pots and pans hung from a rack, you know?
Oh no.
And I very frequently, because I'm the tall one, would bang my head into these pots and pans as I, straightened up from doing something on the counter. And that sound is the sound it makes when you slap Telchar on the back.
Nice. Bong.
Yeah,
Clatter, clatter.
you can see that Draji is becoming more and more sheepish as, Sam scoffs at her, and now this princely figure is...
Keep questioning her. We'll get a good harvest of wool in a moment.
and so she goes,
This is Austin's fault. He kept me up too late.
in a way, she's mildly defensive and sort of mutters, just because I lived close to a lake doesn't mean I know how to swim.
I see. Your empire continues to surprise in new and strange ways.
It's just a me problem. Siblings can swim just fine.
It's just a me problem.
Well, it's clearly a failure of the government and the hegemon at its
Truly.
deepest levels.
In Akraza, hatchlings are thrown into the sea when they can barely walk.
Oh, believe me. The similar was done to me out of frustration, and I nearly drowned. So, still...
Let's break her legs and throw her in the water.
You don't have to break my legs to throw me in the water, because I can't swim. Telchar!
But if we're gonna throw you in the sea when you can barely walk, we need to make sure you can barely walk first.
In any case,
I guess so. The ocean doesn't still my feet, so you can say that you still defeated it.
It's like at this point, Sam is struggling. He is snickering so hard. He actually just basically falls into a chair to try and keep from laughing so hard, laughing out loud.
I want to apologize for my compatriots. We have been through quite a number of traumatic ordeals, and it seems to have taken a toll on their mental state. However, we are ready to face
Says the
this
most
demon.
damaged member of our companion.
We are ready to face this monster.
This is good to hear. I trust you've all already been shown to your quarters. You are guests of House Stormvard. You are granted every need that you might require. However, there is one more situation of note. You may pursue this at your own discretion, I should say. But, as you may know, Dionysus is home to an adventurer's guild. Not something that Acrozans have, but it appears a organization of mercenaries, individuals of note and experience, such as yourselves. When the city was flooded, many of the adventurers left with it. However, we have received reports from the far western side of the city that there are still many who have stayed behind. The guild is now a refuge of sorts. If they are indeed mercenaries and wish to ply their trade, could be something to consider.
Hmm.
I'm surprised the Fiend Hunter brothers didn't hire them.
Sam looks thoughtfully and he says, "Do you happen to know if any of them might be ex-military?"
The mercenaries.
Yes.
I do not know of such things. I would imagine it is a strong possibility.
Understood. Thank you.
I still think we should take a smaller ship.
Well, perhaps
Well,
these
if there is nothing
discussions can be.
further.
Dante, you may play lightly with lives, but I do not feel comfortable risking a people in this endeavor.
I suppose that's up to the. I'm sorry. What are the heads
I
of state
suppose-
of the?
I suppose that's up to the people.
Telchar actually stands up and he says, "No. I will not fight if we are risking the entirety of Clan Stormvard in this endeavor." I have made up my mind on this. We are here to protect people, not to risk their lives. We have done enough of that already.
Sam will put his hand on your shoulder again, this time lightly, and he will say, "I very much appreciate this stance, and I would be right there with you, with the exception of one principle. I always fight for someone who cannot fight for themselves, but I think it's also important that those who can fight for themselves and are willing to do so should be allowed to. That would be my principle. on
And
this
I
matter.
will gladly take a crew of brave Dragonborn warriors with us.
Perhaps
But
there's
the
a
whole
compromise to be
clan?
made.
Not the whole clan. Not the whole vessel.
Sam will nod and he'll say, "Then perhaps there is a compromise to be made." And then he'll kind of straighten himself up again. He'll turn to Dante and he'll say, "Well, while that is straightened out, Dante, if you'd like, I could make myself useful going to talk with the mercenaries, those of more or less my kind, to see if we can get any willing combatants from them.
I think this is reasonable. You may want to take some of the others with you. And only go in the morning. It's dangerous at night.
Sam laughs and starts to say something, but then stops himself. Then he'll say, right, so we're not supposed to touch the water, right?
I
He kinda
think
looks
we
at
aren't
it
even
questioningly.
supposed to look at it.
Oh.
You can drink it though.
Telchar,
Sam chuckles, and then he says, actually, Sam would have noticed this getting onto the boat. What is the primary way of getting on and off the boat if you're not on a Pegasus? Or jumping from a roof? Austin.
You would have probably seen Katragram ferried over by a smaller boat.
That's right, that's right.
Yeah, there are 3 Dragonborn cutters, which are essentially very high quality little schooner vessels that are often rigged or slightly elevated on the sides of the ship.
Sam will nod and he'll say, that sounds like the course of action for me. And, yeah, we'll wait until the morning to do that. Anyone want to...
So, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Well, I guess before we move forward on that, so Austin, what I'm thinking here is, I don't know how long it's going to be required of us to. So from Dante's mind, the logical decision here is to split the party, like half and half, to go attack both of these objectives, so that we have enough time to do them before the next day. But if like you think that there would be enough time to do both, then like we don't have to split the party. Like basically, I'm pointing out Dante would think it's logical to do it, but I know that we have like anti-split the party mantra here, meta.
We split the party a lot lately.
Well,
We should probably...
It's whatever you would like.
Split the party.
The only deadline is the one imposed upon yourselves right now.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Keep in mind, it is already quite late, and to continue in intensive endeavors at this point would be to invite exhaustion.
Yeah, we would be going to bed first. We wouldn't start until the morning. Why don't we try and not split the party? How about that?
Yeah,
like, why don't we all go together?
All right, Katragram goes off alone.
Just, in fact, you might pretty easily be able to convince Sam to stick with you while you're searching for the key.
Yeah. Dante will go ahead and say, actually, maybe it's best if we all stay together. So we can all keep an eye on each other.
aw, he's missed us.
I just imagine Dante saying that, giving a really hard side eye to Sam.
he wouldn't do such a hard side eye. It would almost be like an aside. It shouldn't take us long to get into the vault tomorrow morning. If we get into the vault, we can probably load up on supplies and then head back to the Ark ship in time, or head back to Io's Crown in time to go and have a parlay with the mercenaries.
Such confidence. Didn't the sextant point to the east? I think Austin said about the key when we asked about the key.
Mm-hmm.
That's interesting.
Oh,
east is water.
It pointed out towards the ocean.
Yes.
It pointed towards the eastern side of the city.
Oh, eastern side of the city.
The side that the Fiend Hunter Brothers lighthouse was.
Okay, yeah. So at this point, we're still expecting it to be in the general vicinity. So we'll
Unless it changes when you get closer.
yeah. We'll
So I would have.
go ahead.
We'll go ahead and do that. Let's go ahead and turn in for the night. We all gather into our beds, wake up the next day.
I have something interesting to say about rest times for Sam. When I just imagine, like there's probably some actually, that's a good question for Austin. Do Do the guest quarters aboard this ship are they shared quarters, or are they all separated out? Like you mentioned something about
There
Dante's
are,
quarters earlier.
yes, all of the rooms are these hyper compact rooms that have 4 hammocks in them.
So I'm
So,
assuming
yes.
4 of us can fit in one room.
Yeah, unless you want to sleep in the floor.
Well, whatever 3 people are staying in the same room as Sam, we'll probably look around at some point in the night and just see these 2 glowing points in the darkness, just staring back into the darkness. As Sam finds it difficult to rest soundly after what he's been through, and his eyes now glow in the dark, basically. Super creepy. Even after all the lights are out, you can still see his eyes.
So Telchar would sleep on the deck because he doesn't truck with hanging from the ceiling like an elf.
Alright.
Yeah. As you adjourned your meeting with Anubarak, he wishes you all the best of luck. Shares a brief look with Katralgrim, says, "It is not the time nor the place, but if we are both to survive this, I would have words with you, Pilgrim of Io, after this is done."
Katrargum will nod. And he will make his way out of the room afterwards.
His blessing go with you. All right. Each of you adjourn. You are fed, housed. There are baths available to you, though you are warned by the bath keeper that water is scarce.
By the way, Dante would want to check in with the kobold and see if he had found that piece of ivory he had asked for.
Sure, let me roll some.
Rolling something for a kobold. -3 modifier.
Yeah, he informs you that he has identified a likeness of the ivory that you wish for. However, the craftsmen that own it guard it covetously, as it is leftover dragon horn keratin and behemoth keratin from the homeland.
Oh wow. Okay. Dante will say,
He says if you wish to have it, then you might need to ask it of them personally and state your case.
"It is of no matter for now."
I seriously can't look at that red boat on the map without reading it say Joe's Crow anymore. Every time I look at it.
Well, usually our real hang up in terms of time is Ben. Ben, how are we doing on time?
I got till noon, so another 40 minutes.
Another 40 minutes. Is everybody else good for 40 minutes?
Yep.
Or would we rather end
Yeah.
sooner?
I'm good.
Okay.
Just enough time to beat up a kraken, right?
Yep, just enough
I
time.
was hoping to be able to get to the vault first.
Okay.
No.
Straight
No
into
vault.
the water.
Go to the Draji.
Ugh.
We're all here.
Huge
All right,
roleplay session.
let's head out after that key. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. You awaken in the morning, refreshed. The hammocks.
One
Scared, but
one small
comfortable.
thing overnight, real quick. Katrargum will actually ask Dante for the sextant just tomorrow.
Yeah. Dante would allow Katralgrim to keep a hold of it. Be quite careful with it. We'll need it. It's of extreme importance in the morning.
He will, as he is holding on to it, have a general mental map of the layout of the Io's crown that he's been through so far, and open it. And check to see where it's pointing, as it is in his hands.
Okay. And what is it that you are saying or depicting in your mind when holding the sextant?
As this is the culmination of his journey. This is what he's looking for. He's looking for a worthy apostle.
Okay. You take the prophecy in mind, everything that you think an apostle should be, and culminate it into a single picture or thought, a hypothetical of what this individual could look like. And you impress it upon the sextant. And I want you to roll me a d20.
16.
Okay. Katralgrim, the sextant whirs slightly, not viciously or quickly, kind of lopes to the side and to the other side, ventures towards you briefly, and your heart skips a beat. Faces forward. And at last, it seems to rest for a few moments to the northwest. For a few moments where you can feel your heart beating in your chest before it once again flits off and continues this slow, loping circle. We don't know what this means. The specifics of the Seeker Stone. You know the person in question must be known, but to what extent if you must see the person? Know the nature of their soul. It is unknown to you. But this, in your hand, you feel as though you are palming destiny itself. As you gaze at the stone for a few more minutes, watching it, it rests once again to the northwest for maybe 30, 40 seconds, and then bounces again. Before you close it and meditate before resting with the rest of your companion.
He will, after this goes on for a minute or two, is Dante even watching any of this? He literally, like,
I assumed you
Hold on.
separated yourself, but if you did
No.
not. Okay.
No, he did not.
Yeah, Dante would be. Did Katralgrim say anything?
No. He offered to borrow the sextant, the Seeker's Stone, and then maybe like 2 steps away, backed up a little bit, and then opened it without a word.
What are you looking for?
He is silent as the Seeker's Stone is moving, freezing. From where they're at, with a rough estimation, is it pointing, whenever it's on its long pauses of a singular direction, is that roughly in the direction of the captain's quarters from here?
The captain's quarters, I would say, is located to the back of the ship, which is to the south. So, that is no.
After it points for a second time in the northwesterly direction, Katrargum's eyes close for a second, and he closes the sextant and proffers it back. To Dante.
Yeah, Dante will. Actually, Dante will say, if you could, please take it to Telchar on your way. To your bunk. He's the one who's going to be needing to use it in the morning. It may be right to have him carry it from now on, as I stupidly forgot it yesterday.
As creepy as it may be, while people are sleeping is the most convenient time to track them, because they won't be moving.
Do you suggest this to
No.
Katralgrim?
No. Just logic.
Katrargum nods to Dante's suggestion. He says, "Of course, I'll make sure he receives it. And then he will place it in his bag for the moment, so that it's not like awkwardly hanging out in the open where someone could attempt to steal it.
Mm-hmm.
And then he will bow to Dante a bit before making leave. And
For
I
the
guess
record, my operative assumption about Katrogrim is that his bag is a sack tied to the end of a pole.
no, he doesn't have a bindle.
That'll be pretty fun though.
Although, considering his nomadic lifestyle, his bag is less of it like a fully structured backpack and more of like sleeves of cloth tied together with rope and also tied to him.
Well, are we sleeping? No.
Yep. Just a question.
Katrogum does move up to the top deck because he heard mumbles of Telchar saying he won't use the weird the weird hanging beds
He'll sleep in the cabin. He just sleeps on the floor.
on the floor. Okay. He approaches Telchar and he says, he pulls the sextant back out and he says, "A gift from Dante." He says it would do well to be in your hands for tomorrow.
Telkar nods and takes it. Looks at it, whirring slowly and pausing in the northwest. Raises an eyebrow and he's like, "What's it tracking?"
It wouldn't be pointing towards the northwest at the moment because it'd be in your hands.
It kept pointing to the east when I handed it to Dante. So it just maintains what it was last asked, doesn't it?
I think if the person you're handing it to also has a strong concept of what they're seeking, then it would just keep searching for that. But it's sort of like the Jack Sparrow compass. It
Okay.
kind of fluctuates based on who's holding it.
So as soon as Katrogrim lets go of it, it stops pointing to whatever.
Right, because only
You
Katrogrim
wanted.
knows what he's searching for at the moment.
Okay, I see. All right, fair enough. Then yeah, he'd take it and
I mean, you're welcome to notice it pointing in a northwesterly direction for a few extra seconds before it spins.
I don't think he'd worry about it. He probably wouldn't even open it. It's late. Probably put it in his bag.
And obviously, Katrogrim is taking a high bunk because he does not fear heights.
Okay.
In
Yeah,
the morning,
that is sleep time.
As
Rest.
Telkar has every night. As you go to sleep, you hear him muttering sourly about how unnatural it is to be on the sea in a wooden construct. Like,
wood and water, the two things that dwarves.
good solid stone under my feet. Can't wait to have a rock over
Grumble,
my
grumble
head.
on the floor. And Draji would take the bunk or the hammock underneath Katrogrim.
In
And
the
I guess
morning,
Sam and Dante have the opposites.
I don't know if he wants to be close to Sam at the moment. Sam is still awaiting some kind of catharsis with Dante. Like, you can tell at random moments, like, Sam is just staring at Dante. Probably accidentally with a very predatory look, just accidentally because, basically exudes that predator kind of vibe. But no, he'll just stare at Dante at random intervals, trying to parse how to interact with him. In the morning, though, y'all note that when you get up, Sam is already sitting on the edge of his hammock, like bouncing his knee, looking really antsy, like he wants to get moving, and like he's already packed up and ready to go. He's just sitting on the bunk waiting for everybody to wake up, or sitting on the edge of the hammock waiting for everyone else to wake up.
Yeah, Telchar kind of blearily rolls over, holding his glaive to his chest like a binky. Yawns and stretches.
Katrargram's obviously up a little before everyone else, and he's going through like Tai Chi motions at this point. Trying to steady himself for the day ahead.
Sam watches with some interest.
Dante prepares his spells for the day and casts Mind Blank, kind of looking over at Sam every now and then, just kind of like seeing what he's doing, what he's watching, how he's acting.
A couple of times you catch Sam staring at you, and when you look at him, he'll no. Like sometimes when you catch a stare, he'll continue to stare back at you and just like give you a nod and then look away.
When this happens, Dante's eyes will narrow a little bit.
From a distance, Draji's just laying on her side, watching these two gaze at each other from a distance.
I love how we've all just decided that we're all in the one room together, even though we have like 2 rooms to work with.
Yeah. We all decided to sleep in one room.
We've been far apart from each other. We're all one big party now. One big
It's
family.
so compact that Telchar sleeping on the floor in between the hammocks basically means that to get out, you must step on Telchar.
Well, he is built like stone.
There is no
Yeah, Telchar would, for the record, if you need to get up to go to the bathroom in the middle of the night, like you just find yourself stepping on Telchar, who does not notice. Like he snores a little louder while you're walking on him. And
notably,
Maybe
notably,
you'll pop
Katrargram
his
is
spine and he will be like, like in his sleep.
much better. Notably, Katrargram is doing his Tai Chi and his like meditative stuff on top of Telchar because Telchar is not moving,
Yeah.
and because there's not enough room for him to be able to like sit up and meditate on his bunk because his bunk is like right against the ceiling.
This is a really funny mental image. All of us packed into this one room.
Like sardines.
I can imagine
Worse
how
than
it happened
sardines.
too. Like I can imagine how it happened too, because like, Dante will probably go to a room first, right, and then Draji, his bodyguard, effectively, is going to go in there next, and then Telchar just follows Draji because hey, that's where we're going, and then Sam is like, oh, this is where the party's going. I guess this is where this is the room I remember being taken to earlier, and then Katrargram is like, well, nobody's going to take the top bunk, so I'll go ahead and take that one.
And Katrargram's like, well, I guess I gotta walk out of this room just to walk back into it and give Telchar the sextant.
And then we're all together.
Mm-hmm. Well,
boy.
and then we would get
Anyway.
up and go. Probably take
Yeah.
one of the
We're
boats.
ready to go. Sam is just like raring to go. He's like at the door while waiting for everyone else to finish getting themselves together, ready to go.
Yeah, when we're done climbing on top of each other, trying to get our gear stuff ready, we're in a boat and we're going to the Fiend Hunter Brothers lighthouse now.
Mm-hmm.
Or at least easterly with Lave's direction.
Yeah, and Dante would ask Telchar to like continuously be asking about the key to see if it changes direction as we approach.
Yeah.
Hooray!
Okay. Dante, you are led to the cutter that you have been using this whole time to navigate the city's waterways. And at this time, there is only a single Dragonborn helmsman that is there to assist your sailing, as all the other workers are either ill or have finished their labor.
Would the helmsman still help us if he sees a castless or a clanless?
He would. He's under orders to do so. He also has forged a degree of a bond with Dante and Telchar at this point, as you guys have seen some stuff.
Yep.
Uh, he doesn't really question. Yeah.
Right.
You float through the city. It is a quiet, eerie thing. There is little aside from the splashing of water, the occasional rowing of the cutter as it needs a little bit of extra propelling power. You hear a window slam shut. Glancing up, you think perhaps there is a person still up there, but then you realize that a gust of wind has caught the shutters and is repeatedly opening and closing with some sporadic rhythm. It is a very eerie thing. Draji, you remember going to Dionysus when you were very young, and you were awed by how huge it is. That such a thing could be built by the hands of men. There are buildings as far as the eye can see, vast towers and parapets. The walls themselves are structures that men live within. The bay brings in more trade than almost any port in the world. And yet it has been desolated, made devoid of any living standard. You glance down into the water and you think you see a face, but it fades quickly. This place is accursed. It is best to hurry.
This place is cursed.
This is cursed. That is cursed.
You make your way to the far side of the city, the eastern edge. Here was once a great lighthouse, now toppled over upon itself, only a jagged half structure. The rubble everywhere, the dry docks in shambles. This seems to be all but the norm for Dante, Telchar, and the helmsman. For moments, and you are parked expertly, a rope tied around a nearby post that has been erected for this very purpose. And a few more paces, which you take with the most care, as you've been informed the water is most dangerous to come into contact with. You gaze down at a small, mostly dry, pulverized area, dammed with all manner of debris and detritus into a structure that is keeping the water out, at the bottom of which you see a magical gate, Big Cat Logan's armory, which you are unable to open. From here, the search for the key begins. Who has the sextant, and will you be using it?
Telchar does, and yes, he will.
Okay. You take it out, and it appears to be a little bit uncertain. Strangely similar to what happened to Kachalgrim. However, it seems to be leading you in a vague northeasterly direction from where you currently stand. Taking a few steps, you kind of have to stop yourself as you realize it is waterlogged. The area it points to is the jagged, submerged debris of the dry dock. Even the cutter, small profile though it is, cannot hope to fit through unless significant removal of the remaining support beams and debris were arranged.
Would we have to swim, or I suppose we could fly through, right?
Yep, you need to devise some manner of traversal, apparently, to get in there.
About how far do we think it is?
It's probably a good 200, 300 feet from your current location.
Gotcha. Well, Dante would suggest that he has the fly spell. Some of us could fly over.
Telchar kind of sighs and says, well, I'm the smallest.
And you're the one with the sextant.
Draga mumbles. I am the most nimble.
Indeed you are. Yeah, so I'm thinking Dante, Telchar, and Katralgrim fly in there, and then if something happens to us, Draji can come in to assist. Or, with the others.
Draji for the assist!
With the others. Wow, Sam. You've been reduced to the others.
Sam's head hangs again.
Lo, how the mighty have fallen.
You don't get any sense of, like, purposeful animosity from Dante over this, but it's almost like you're an afterthought right now. Like, you're not... It's not that he's actively trying to hate on you, but it's like he's
passively trying to hate on you.
He's passively trying to hate on you, yeah. He doesn't even really recognize it himself.
I do have to ask, what's keeping us all from flying? Do you have to upcast it?
So, I have to upcast it. So, at higher levels, when you cast a spell, 4th level or higher, you can target one additional creature for each slot level above 3rd.
Gotcha.
So, I have to cast one of my 5th level spell slots to make 3 total people fly.
Understood. Okay.
Oh, that's not the music I wanted.
I was like, wait, what's happening?
That's a secret mission. Sound for later.
I mean, 3, 4, 5. 4, 5. Dante could cast this at 7th level, and everybody could fly.
Where is the
But then you'd be out of a 7th level spell for today.
Right. I mean, realistically, the only thing that I can use that with is Crown of Stars, so it's not a huge loss. So it's
Or,
Until you need to hide
upcasting,
something.
or, upcasting anything else.
7th level fireball.
Yeah. Of course, if Dante loses concentration, everybody plummets.
Except for Draji. She can fly.
Right.
He can draw him. He can just, not.
Sam can double jump, so he can, fly for a second. Actually, technically, anyway. We'll come back to that. We'll come to that some other time.
Is there no...
Yeah, I mean... Yeah, I guess it will probably... DM, does it look like it's going to be a really, tough deal, even with flying, to get through this?
There are many possible hazards. And of course, in all likelihood, the key is located somewhere at the bottom of this bay.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
There is that.
Dante will go ahead and burn the 7th level slot and make everybody fly.
What is this?
Oh, he's making us fly now.
You are made to fly. Do it. Do it.
Right. With fly being cast on her, she's going to go ahead and cast freedom of movement on herself.
Alright.
Cool.
And then
You feel the energy flowing into you. One of the great freedoms of sentient creatures. A law of the universe imbued by the nature of the divine. You feel as though nothing can tie you down.
right, and so she will cast that on herself, and also that would leave only one more level 4 spell slot. I might just save it.
Dante will go ahead and fish out the signal whistle that he keeps with himself, and he's going to hand it to our pilot.
Pilot.
Blow this if you are attacked.
Yeah, you give him a whistle.
Yep.
That is okay. That's entertaining.
So you're giving him a whistle, yes?
Yep, signal whistle. Yep.
Okay. Are you
Whistles all
distributing?
around.
Are you distributing any whistles to anybody else? The rest of the party?
Oh no, he
The rest of us
did
should
that a
still
long
have
time
signal
ago.
whistles, except for Sam.
Yeah, Sam doesn't have it. Yeah.
Sam does have a whistle because he was just handed it by Telchar in DMs.
Oh wow, okay, wow.
I just thought that was funny that you said that
Like
right after.
literally a minute ago.
Yeah,
Oh wow.
that's why I was entertained by it, is because everybody's handing out whistles now.
Everybody's got great minds think alike, right?
Kachargrim hands his whistle to Telkar.
Draji
But,
hands your whistles to control them.
Everybody hands the whistles to everybody else.
Everybody hand your whistle to the person on your left.
All right. We fly over. What's going on?
Okay. Let me secure.
What?
Should be on loop. Check.
A 10-minute loop, no less. I need to turn it down slightly. That's pretty cool, though.
I told Sam that Dante wanted to start a band, and that's why we all have signal whistles.
Yeah.
where are we going? What are we doing?
We're flying over there.
We're listening to oppressive gloom. Got it.
Okay. Yeah, you all feel your feet lift off the ground as you float through the dry docks. A few moments pass. You pass what might have once been the perimeter of the dry dock. Jagged support beams rotted through and molded by water. You see barnacles, strange colors, mutated by whatever curse is in this place, crawling up the sides of many of the boards. You see a couple of rowboats cracked and scattered across what appears to be a reef that has grown up and through the dry docks. We don't know if this is always here, but it doesn't appear natural.
So Sam's...
Telchar, you hold out the sextant and find it is still a little bit uncertain, but it points directly ahead.
Sam speaks up and he says, "So what do we do if its location is currently in the water?"
Then we go for a swim, I suppose. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say he kind of grimaces in response.
When you say it points just ahead, like is it getting like are we hovering over like water with ruins underneath us right now?
Yep, you now have you're sort of in this scaffolding dry dock area. You have a roof over your head with many holes in it, dripping water down onto you, hopefully rainwater. You're kind of in this area which may have once been used to service large boats.
Mm-hmm. All right. So do we think it's under us at this point? Is that the insinuation?
It's ahead of you. We'll see if the sextant changes its tune when you grow close.
Yeah. We'll keep moving then.
Okay. A few moments pass as you all float slowly over the water, avoiding any bit of debris as you're pretty close to the water. For a few moments, Telchar, the sextant, uncertain though it is, begins to slowly turn back the way you came as you pass over.
As it starts rotating, like Telchar changes his velocity to match until he's like centered on the spot where it just spins in place.
Okay.
And then experimentally, Telchar turns the sextant on its side to see if it like points down or up.
Interesting.
Uh-oh, you've put the DM in a predicament.
Does it work on a y-axis like an x-axis?
Does it realize that the Earth is three-dimensional?
Something really interesting happens when you turn it onto its side.
It shatters.
It stops moving entirely.
Mm-hmm.
The needle points perfectly forward.
forward. So it snaps from like a spinning wildly to pointing forward.
Yeah, and then it is utterly inert.
And if I tilt it back horizontal, it starts spinning wildly again.
It does, yeah.
And if I tilt it back sideways, it snaps forward.
Yeah.
What if I move in the direction and forward a little bit?
Yeah, sure. It stays that way.
Interesting. So it has like a protection, like it just breaks and goes back to default if you hold it in the y-axis. Well, I didn't expect it to work, so I'm glad I didn't break it. Telchar lets the party know that the sexton has determined this as the spot.
All right, DM, how much time has passed? Because we've got 10 minutes on the spell.
About a minute now, I'd say.
Okay, perfect. All right, who wants to go delve into the deep?
I've got it.
I will.
Draji raises your hand.
Everyone's raising hands.
You can't
Telchar
even
is
swim!
already moving down.
Telchar,
Yes.
wait. The reason why I'm saying it's better for me is because if the water's diseased, I'm naturally immune to diseases due to my
Same.
connection to Bahamut. And not only that, if it is magical in nature, I have cleansing touch. I don't even need a verbal component. I can remove
Okay.
the spell.
But it's an intelligence save.
I have
And
proficiency in
which,
intelligence.
I mean, Telchar wouldn't say those words, but right, that's... Dante and Telchar have done really well against this because it's been int saves. Also, Telchar has Indomitable. Also, Telchar has fought the ocean before. Also, you can cast that spell on Telchar.
Good
Also,
If you remember to come out of the water, she can.
How deep is it?
You look down, and between the debris and this reef, it's rather difficult to see the bottom.
Right, so she says, at least let me do this then. And she'll go ahead and cast Freedom of Movement on him.
Oh, Petrogram's sad.
Okay.
Uh,
Testing freedom of movement again.
Sam pipes up and he says, I don't need to breathe.
But
Also, can't be poisoned. Winter contingency stuff. You probably got it.
This, whatever this is, I believe can affect winter contingents. Just so you know.
Actually, yeah, Sam would have no idea that Telchar is a contingent because I believe his seal is underneath his
Yeah, he
bracers.
doesn't. No, he doesn't. Yeah, no, he only knows that Dante and Draji are.
so he's implying that you
And he
would know
knows-
that he's immune because he has a contingency seal on himself.
Mhm.
Not that he's referring to Telchar.
That makes sense.
But yeah, I believe Sam would be a good option for this to take with you.
Alright,
Um,
so Draji's just holding freedom of movement in her hand. She's like, alright, who's going down?
I am.
But you just got here.
I move faster.
What's wrong with that?
She blinks.
Why don't
I'm
we
sentimental.
roll? Let's roll a d3, and if it's one.
If he takes the hammer off and burns all its charges, he can sink really fast.
Oh wow, yeah.
Really fast.
That's
Um,
hilarious.
But how do
He
you
won't
gonna
come
get
back up.
out? That's our new execution technique.
Oh,
But anyway, yeah, okay, let's roll a 1d3. If it's one, it's Sam.
Guys, we're not playing Path in the Wild. We don't invent execution techniques in this game.
Let's
If you were wondering, Austin, no, it is not a concentration spell.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, I noticed someone flipping through my character sheet.
I was checking your spell slots.
Yep, I had two,
Mhm.
but I'm waiting for someone to decide to go down so that I can put freedom of movement on them as well.
Right.
So, are we rolling that d3? What are we doing?
Does Katrogram need to breathe?
He does, but he also has Diamond Soul, which gives him effectively advantage on failed saving throws of any kind.
Okay.
let's
do we have
let's
a
do
water
this.
breathing spell?
Let's go with
no.
Let's go with Draji and Sam, and Katralgrim can go with him just because he's OP. and then
Yeah.
Dante and Telchar will wait up here in reserve and keep an eye out.
He's the one with the sextant. What are we doing?
Right, but the
I mean, the
sextant.
sextant has just gotten us to this point. Telchar
Right.
won't
The
move.
sextant
Do
is.
you have any idea what it looks like, though?
He
He'll
Describe it.
describe it as best he can.
Telkar's the only one who has a brief glimpse of the key in the past, if I understand correctly.
Yes, which is why he was holding the sextant.
I think Telkar should go down, because he's the only one who could recognize it, but also because even when we're down there, the sextant will still keep working on the horizontal plane, so it can still be useful. Even though that's totally player
Alright.
meta, but Schmidt.
So, I think Draji and Telkar should go together. I don't think one person should go alone.
Yeah.
Sam wants to go, and he really thinks that he's a good choice for this as well.
Yep. Dante's
Alright,
cool with
well-
that.
I guess Katralgrim will just keep an eye out up top.
Yeah, Katrogam and Dante will stay up top. Draji will then put freedom of movement on Telkar. So now Telkar has it as the original intention.
Telchar, the ocean defier.
And so we will descend into the waters.
Defeater of the ocean, spelled with 2 E's.
It's spelled with 3 E's, thank you very much.
Oh, I suppose it does have 3 E's.
So Telkar and Draji are descending,
4 E's.
And Sam.
and Sam.
Yeah.
Okay.
All three of us.
So yeah, Sam starts
Splitting the
moving
party.
very quickly once he starts heading down towards the water. It's like he just kicked on an afterburner or something.
Or suddenly gained 300 pounds.
What's that? No, he's not going to discharge the hammer just for this. No, he's the hammer's still on his back. No, he just suddenly starts accelerating as though if he has been like moving at a crawl this whole time to keep up with you all, and then just suddenly he kicks on the afterburners.
Okay.
Telkar is not fast. Unfast,
Katralgrim is
I'd say.
fast.
I wish to begin perceiving, DM.
Okay. You have fly, and 2 of you have freedom of movement. Are there any other spells or anything like that active that I need to account for here?
Well,
You
Sam has passive stuff, but I don't think that's what you mean.
Yeah. Okay. You descend into the water. Each of you have dark vision. However,
I can see my party members because I have dork vision.
you can just barely make out your companions if they remain close to you. And
Oh, that's right. Light spell. Boop.
aren't you already underwater?
No. When you were asking about it, I just remembered I had that.
Weren't you going to cast dancing lights instead?
I don't have.
Draji and Sam are perfect opposites.
Oh, it's
Draji
Dante.
casts light and Sam casts heavy.
Oh my
Oh my word. Right. So Draji will put that somewhere like on her chest plate or helmet, so that way we have some light to see.
Sure. Okay.
Draji the anglerfish. Hang on! Draji can't swim.
She has fly
And freedom movement.
and freedom of movement.
She just sort of T-poses through the water.
Okay.
Draji, roll for trauma.
Sam, is it fair to say you are a bit ahead of your companions here?
Oh yeah, he's moving at maximum velocity to see if he can get a look at this thing. Plus, because of his perceptive feat, I don't know how much it matters, but light obscurity, like light obscureness in an area doesn't impose disadvantage on my perception checks. So maybe make it a little, as long as he can both see and hear. And in this case, he can see, and you can technically hear in the water. So I imagine it helps a little bit, but probably not a whole lot. I don't know. Just putting that out there.
So you can effectively see a bit more than your companions can directly around you. However, beyond that, it is heavily obscured. You are in cursed, debris, dark waters, and it is really difficult to make anything out. You note a kind of brilliant light shining down from above that is Draji and Telkar taking up the rear. However, even that seems to be somewhat squelched by the surroundings area. You can make out the light itself and kind of part of Draji's silhouette, but beyond that, not much. All right. Yeah. So you descend. I want each of you to go ahead and roll me intelligence saving throws.
Oh, good. Let's see. My intelligence saving throw is terrible, but I do have things to fall back on if necessary. 18. Okay, that's not that terrible.
Oh wow. We send some mattress down there, and he has an intelligence save of
Are
0.
you 10 feet? Are you within 2 feet?
Nope,
Or are
he's
you going beyond me? Okay.
He's
Yeah, you
zooming.
need to be sticking with me.
He's zooming.
zooming.
He's eager.
He doesn't know. He hasn't developed that muscle.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes.
No,
One
he's
second,
zooming.
character sheet isn't loading. There we go. And that's +5, right?
Yes.
Usually +5.
19.
Is this the music I want? Hold on.
It sounds mildly heroic.
Yeah.
So actually, no, it's fine. Just continue. I'm just learning to be Sam again. Slash learning to be new Sam.
Evil Sam.
Right. Even no wait.
But
Evil Sam, evil Symmetrics, evil deadly into fold.
Thank goodness. Undead evil mattress. Undead evil unfold.
Okay. Telkar, is your +5 bonus pre-calculated or is it 19?
It is 19.
Got it. Okay. All of you begin to see faces, a presence there in the water with you.
Presents. I want to open one.
Does that mean that I failed the intelligence save, or is that just a thing that happens?
That's
How
the
would you know that?
thing that happens.
Okay.
You kind of flinch a little bit, and each of you. Let me check your. What are each of your constitutions?
Good enough. Oh no, actually my constitution isn't that great. I forgot.
are you looking for the number or the modifier? Austin.
The number, please. The score.
Okay.
13.
19.
I
Okay.
actually forgot. My constitution is actually 10.
Okay.
Wow,
Well,
that's fantastic.
Sam, it mostly doesn't matter. Sam, are you?
Did you not set your constitution? Is that why it's 10?
Oh, my skills went into other numbers. Plus, it's me. So
Oh, okay.
So you should have done
What-
point by.
what did you say, Austin?
Yeah. I'll go ahead and say that this doesn't matter for Sam. For Draji and Telkar, Draji, you have effectively 3 rounds. Telkar, you have 2. Before your breath begins to give way slightly.
Right.
Not even slightly before you run out of breath. So yeah, 1 round passes. You all descend. I'll say Draji and Telkar are moving at about half speed since you guys are slowing down to just make sure you're not running into anything and being cautious. Sam, I want you to go ahead and roll me. I want you to roll me an investigation check, please.
I was hoping you'd ask for investigation Not because my investigation score is good. No, it's definitely not. But because I can use a superiority die on it.
Nice.
So I'm going to go ahead and roll the investigation, and then I'm going to roll the superiority separately because I'm not used to this yet. 17. And then superiority, I believe, is a D8, but let me make sure I understand how it works.
Okay.
Blah, blah. It's a tactical assessment when you make an intelligence investigation. You can expend one superiority die and a superiority die to the ability check. Superiority die are. I have 6 of them, and they should be D8s. I'm going to double check because I thought that was somewhere on the sheet, but it's actually not. Oh wait, superiority die.
Should be D10s depending on how high level you are.
Yeah, you might be right. Here it is. Command superior. When you learn to maneuver your choice, blah blah. Special dice, which go up. Blah blah. 8 plus. Wait. Your superiority dice turns into D10s. Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah, it's a D10. Cool. Let's do it.
Go for it.
3. It's 20.
20, yeah, for sure, man. Okay, the first thing you note is that as you dive deeper, you're finding that you're kind of in close proximity to this reef, which appears to be towering from the abyss. It's kind of on your left the entire time as you're descending. A few months pass, and you still cannot see the bottom. What you do see is a very small bluish light that is just barely visible with all of your traits.
That's the only thing I've got to go on.
It is below you, yes.
Yeah, that's the only thing I got to go on, so I head towards it.
And with that, I kind of probably have to go.
Okay. And we will leave that off on a cliffhanger. We'll go ahead.
I'm
and-
not in as much of a rush as
Cliffhanger.
usual, so I waited until the perfect moment because I love you all.
Do the MVP?
I just hope it's not Dan's eye. That I
We'll
towards.
find out next time. Samash just kicks Dan down in the eye.
Ow, my eye! I'm in the trash, man. Alright, it's gonna be another 400 to each. It could be 150 to MVP. Alright, well, it was a good session. A lot of roleplay, got a lot of stuff out of the way. You learned about what happened to Sam and the important details of what him escaping meant.
At least Dante did.
Yeah. That's true.
The Sword of Kaz, Isran Forest, the vampires, and what they're doing. Aside from that, you spoke to a new Brent. Controlgram had some interesting roleplay, and we'll have more interesting roleplay.
If he survives.
If he survives, we'd all like that, of course. And in general, just a good time. I hope everybody had fun. I got a little bit slow around the recap, but it was all right. I have a concept of who I'm voting for. Keep in mind, you can vote for 2 people here. If you so wish, and it will be split if they tie.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Ready when you guys are.
Yeah, ready.
This is only very creepy music to listen to.
It's
I'm ready,
not
though.
creepy. It's pretty.
It's a pretty.
Yeah, pretty creepy.
All right, good. 3, 2, 1, go.
Talking. Sam dead and Telk drop.
I do
Sad
believe
mattress.
that is a slide slam dunk for Telkar, especially since
I see
Christine
one,
only
two,
voted once.
2,
Trail
1, 2,
mattress.
3, 4. 1, 2, 3. 4 Sam and 4 Telkar.
Oh, Sam also
1,
got 4.
2.
Who is
Trogram's got
Joe's
three.
Picnic
Trogram.
and Trematris? Oh,
It's
Trematris.
a mattress.
But who's Joe's Picnic?
Io's Pilgrim.
Oh, I see. I see.
Because, Joe's Cruise. I like that.
So it
It's
sounds like
funny.
750 to or 75 to Sam and Telkar. Extra.
My I got muted for some reason. Yeah. So 400 to each, and then an extra 75 to Telkar and Sam. Thank you, play, and whoever needs to go, feel free. I am going to eat lunch.
All right, I'm gonna go ahead and stop the recording. Say bye, recording.
Bye, recording.
Recording.